What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for the last stream of 2024, or the last review stream of 2024 anyway. So Happy New Year to everyone out there. And I, for one, happy to see the back of 2024. It's been a terrible year for Tottenham Hotspur. When you're looking at results, the form that we've been on in this calendar year, it's been nothing short of shocking. You happy to see the back of it?
Yeah, start of a new year, hopefully some new energy. 2024 has not been good. Been so many injuries, just bad performances, just toxicity. I'm ready for a new year to start and hopefully a New Year's resolution for Spurs.
What's your New Year's resolution?
Win a trophy. Come on.
That's the resolution every year.
Come on.
But look,
it's not been good.
It's not been good at all. But look, we're going to get into the match review stuff, match review, player ratings and all that stuff. But we'll start off with the match review. Obviously, Spurs drew 2-2 yesterday against Wolves. It wasn't the worst performance in the world, but obviously it wasn't a good performance by any stretch of the imagination. And I thought it was, two sides that weren't great, really, going up against each other. I thought when the game started, I thought Wolves started the better of the two. I thought Cunha was running rings around us in that first half. Bissouma couldn't get close to him. And when they did take the lead, it probably was deserved, wasn't it?
Well, they took it after 7 minutes. I don't know if they did enough. I don't remember too many.
But I mean, they were on top for the opening 20 minutes.
They started brighter. That's definitely fair to say. And in terms of the goal, though, I've been watching it back, and I was wondering, why was Hwang so free on the edge of the box, right? Because
it's just who we are, mate.
No, it's not actually. Because
no, it's not who we are.
No, it might be who we are. But I was actually looking because it didn't make any sense why he was no one near him, and he was able to just get that strike off unchallenged. But if you actually see, when Ait-Nouri lays off the ball to Hwang, Brennan Johnson is actually going to close him down, and I think he probably would have got there, but he's fouled. I think he's fouled. He's shoved out the way. I'm not sure which player it is, but he holds him back, and that's why you saw the players complaining after the goal was scored that VAR to intervene, and VAR obviously didn't intervene. They thought there wasn't enough in it to say there was a foul, but actually, if Brennan isn't stopped in his tracks from closing down Hwang, I think he's on his way to probably getting there and blocking the shot. Unfortunately, he was blocked off. You see him in the replay. He falls over, and I was wondering why he fell over, and it was because he was blocked off by a Wolves player off the ball. And obviously, look, Hwang's a great strike. They're not taking anything away from the strike. It's a brilliant goal, and it's a well-worked routine from Wolves. But I do think. I think that's obviously not been talked about because I think it's brushed over because it was a great goal and obviously we conceded and it was a good reward for a good start for Wolves. But I do think we were not unlucky, but Brennan himself, I guess, was a bit unlucky in that situation that maybe the referee didn't blow up.
Potentially. I'll probably need to see it again. But look, we did respond straight away from a corner. I thought Pedro Porro's corners were brilliant yesterday. A couple of times he put it bang on the money. This time Bentancur rises above everyone, pretty much a free header in the box and smashes it in the back of the net. Very reminiscent of the Ipswich header that he scored from the corner. Pretty much carbon copy goals, weren't they? But great delivery from Pedro, and we responded straight away. And I thought as the first half was wearing on, I did think like after the initial bit of Wolves' dominance, we were kind of growing in influence a little bit, and we weren't creating too many chances, but I felt like we were getting a bit of control in the game, and we were growing.
Yeah, I think we were kind of, obviously Wolves with Cunha was still holding a bit of a threat, but I think by and large Wolves struggled to really create too much against us, and I think we were the ones pushing and probing that Wolves back line. Obviously the back three and those two defensive midfielders there as well. It's not easy to break them down, but I thought at times we were doing quite well to get beyond them. I mean, I felt Son was actually the one who was struggling a lot. I thought he was making bad decisions. He was rushing things. I thought he was being way too loose with his possession. But I thought on the other side, Decky and Johnson were actually causing a lot of trouble. Johnson was getting to the byline, couldn't really get too many crosses in. They kept getting blocked. He was winning corners, and it was causing problems for Wolves. I thought Decky started off the game not himself, but then there was one moment where he just burst past, I think it was João Gomes on the halfway line, and from that moment on, he just seemed to really enter the game. And I thought they again really struggled to deal with him. And I thought, I don't think there was it was a very even game. I think Wolves were I think Wolves were fairly comfortable. I don't think they were stretched too much, but we were obviously looking to cause them a few problems. We obviously had that moment where I think Brennan gets to the byline, cuts it back, and Solanke and Bentancur get in each other's way.
I think it was offside though.
It was offside, but yeah, still a comedy moment there where they get in each other's way, and that probably summed up where we are at the moment as a club in terms of just shooting into ourselves instead of the ball. Everyone getting in each other's way, and then obviously we earned the penalty, which on first viewing I thought was a penalty. Then I looked at the replay. I thought actually it looks a bit soft, and then I was watching Match of the Day, and it's a definite penalty because he clips him very clearly on the ankle while he's going to get away. I think it was Andre, and it's a clear penalty on Brennan Johnson at that point. But then, look, we get the penalty just before half time, and Son steps up. But there wasn't a bit of. I watched it back, and there's clearly a bit of a nervous energy about Sonny. He waits way too long to take it. I don't know why he looked so nervous. Just as he's about to take it, he looked a lot more nervous for some reason he usually does, and obviously he goes up going the same way that he usually does, and it was a good height for the keeper, and he got saved. And
Hwang, his countrymate, sold him out, mate. Completely sold him out. You saw him from the back going, he's going that way, he's going that way, and obviously he did go that way. Yeah,
and it's a good save from the keeper, but it's a nice height for him, and it kind of summed up Sonny's game there, where he just wasn't at the races really in this one. He was, and then just after the penalty, he has a moment very similar to the moment against Forest where he does really well with he gets the ball at his feet, he's driving at that Wolves defence. He's got Brennan again to his right, and he's got a Solanke there as well. But again, he just head down. Maybe he's just trying to make up for that missed penalty, but he just decides I'm going to go and try and rectify the situation myself. And it was a bad decision. He overruns the ball.
We've seen this so much, though, in the last couple of games, haven't we? Bad decision-making from Sonny. There's just something not right about him at the moment. And I feel like...
psychologically, I think.
Yeah, maybe that and physically as well, potentially. I mean, last 3 games, he has been really poor. There's no getting away from it. It's the reality. And I was saying before this game, I want to see him, given a rest, come out of the team and start Timo. Look, Timo wasn't that much better when he came on yesterday, but I think what Timo did was get the ball and just start running at them, where Son wasn't really doing that. He also put in a great ball for Solanke. But look, Timo as well put in a bit of a stinky yesterday. So I think Son, when he's playing, he's just not in the game. At least Timo was in the game a little bit when he came on.
I don't think Timo was any more in the game than Son, apart from that one moment. I think Son did get on the ball, but I think Semedo was dealing with him quite comfortably. I think he was trying, but look, you're right. He physically clearly wasn't his sharpest. I think mentally he's trying to overcompensate for some of his failings, maybe by trying too hard in certain actions, and maybe he'd be better off. I think earlier in the season he was doing a really good job, bring his teammates into play, being actually unselfish. But for some, maybe it's because his goal tally's not where it usually is and things like that. Maybe he feels like he needs to take more responsibility when it comes to the goal scoring aspect, and that's why he's making these decisions. But definitely in the last 2 games, there's been situations where other players have been better placed to take certain chances on, and he's decided to take a shot off and then actually ends up where it's a situation where we should be actually creating a good chance and no chance gets created at all, and that's down to him, and that is very, very frustrating. Whether is it a physical problem that's leading to a mental problem, or whatever it is, there's the last 3 games, 100%. There's no getting away from it. He's not been good at all, and that needs to sort itself out, hopefully.
Yeah.
But Sonny, look, I'm sure he'll come back, but definitely last few games he's going through something.
Yeah, definitely, and it was a poor performance by any stretch of the imagination. And we thought, we were saying in the stadium at that point, it's the perfect opportunity to go ahead just before half time. A few minutes later, we did go and take the lead literally just before half time, with a lovely move from Spurs. Kulusevski at the heart of things. And I felt like from half an hour, 35 minutes in, Kulusevski was really growing in influence, and probably his best moment in the game to provide that assist. Great footwork, great energy, great physicality, and a nice little ball to Brennan Johnson. And Brennan Johnson obviously finished it in the bottom corner like we know he can do. But it was a great team goal all round.
Yeah, it was a really good moment, and that's obviously things they train to do on the pitch, to play that kind of football. Obviously, at the moment, we're not seeing it enough, but those kind of moments were really great to see yesterday, and it was a brilliant goal, actually, if you watch it back. Bentancur and Johnson, really great link-up on the right-hand side, then Johnson cuts inside, brilliant ball into Decky. His movement to get away from two Wolves defenders, cut it back, and then the presence of mind just to lay it off for Johnson, who finishes it first time, powers it into the corner, into the near post. It was a great team goal, and I think it was probably good reward for how we took control of the game and turned it around, albeit again, you're right. We're like in terms of chances created, I don't think there were loads, but I did think we started to look a lot better in that latter stages of that first half. And it was we created that goal, and it was a really good team goal. We earned it with the move that we made, and we're obviously going to halftime 2-1 up, and that's really, really valuable, especially when you're playing against a Wolves side. With three defenders, they're always going to be hard to break down, especially if you're chasing a game. So it was really important we took the lead there, and it was a good moment and a really, really good team goal. And Brennan, what was that? 7 goals now in the league. I think 9 goal contributions in the Premier League. So he's 6 away from his total tally in the Premier League last season. All competitions, I think he's like nearing 11. On 5th. He's on 11 goal contributions.
Oh, goals.
11 goals in all competitions. Goal contributions must be nearing on 15. So he's getting good numbers. So you've got to give him credit for that.
He is getting good numbers, and look, I think we kind of scored when we were on top right at the latter stages of that second half. We go in 2-1. I thought probably on the balance of play, when you're judging the whole 45 minutes, probably a bit more than we deserved, I would say. Maybe a draw was probably fair on the balance of play to go in at half-time, but we did take a lead into half-time. For the first 20 minutes of that half, like I said before, Cunha was running us ragged. Literally, we couldn't get close to him.
And Ait Nouri, I think, was his.
And Ait Nouri as well, who ends up with 2 assists. And at half-time, Cunha goes off with a bit of a problem. Looked like he had an ice pack or something on his hamstring for the second half, sitting there on the bench. Bellegarde goes off, who didn't really have too much of an impact. But when their best player goes off like that, and they're forced into 2 changes at half-time, you've got to see that game out, and you've got to go for the kill, and you've got to close that game off. And we did try, when Sarr came. I mean, before the changes, in the first 20 minutes of the half, it was pretty much a non-event. I mean, Spurs did nothing. Wolves pretty much did nothing. There was no chances either end. And then we made the changes, and I thought that we had a bit of extra energy. When Sarr came on, he was actually really direct, and he got a few chances, and he's got to put the ball in the back of the net. And if we go 3-1 up in that game, I do think we win it. Yeah, and I think once Sarr came on, it kind of came in and gave a bit of energy to the likes of Decky and Solanke as well. They were causing, all of a sudden, found a second wind at that point as well. I think we were playing clear. I don't know whether it was instruction or whether it was the team looking to protect the lead, but clearly we were playing a bit more counter-attacking in that second half. We were sitting a bit deeper. Wolves were having a bit more possession. They were kind of dominating the possession. We were catching them out, and we created a number of opportunities on the counter-attack to kill the game off. Werner had that chance where he puts it across the face of goal, and Solanke just didn't get near it, couldn't bury it. Obviously, Solanke, brilliant move from him to win the ball in the middle of the park, beat a player, played Decky through on goal, and then Decky went round the keeper but just didn't put enough on that finish on his right foot to score the goal. And from that point, you're thinking, we haven't killed the game off, but, time's ticking away. Wolves haven't created much. They had one moment of note that I can remember. That's, I think, Ait Nouri got to the byline, pulled the ball across, and Fraser Forster cleared it like a centre-back. He's obviously very used to using his feet, Fraser Forster, at the moment. So Wolves were really struggling to do anything. I thought we were containing them really well, I would say, especially under the circumstances with the defence. We have Radu not 100%, Gray still playing there. I think, Strand Larsen came on at half-time and Belly had a kick, I felt, for a lot of that game. But, as we all know, if you don't kill the game off, and the game is at, the game's on a knife edge, one moment and can cost you the game, whether it be a bit of luck or a bit of quality or whatever it is. It cost you the game, and obviously they found it in the 86th minute. Ait Nouri's ball in behind to Strand Larsen from the tightest of angles somehow finds the roof of the net. I mean, look, credit to Strand Larsen because it's a great finish, but I do have a couple of frustrations with it. First of all, Gray kind of just lets him run off him. He doesn't go with him. I know maybe he's trying to play offside, but obviously the line wasn't good because he stayed on. He keeps him on.
He does keep him on. So Gray, if that's the case, you've got to go with him and you've got to make sure you're getting in front, because essentially he let him go and he had a free shot.
Wasn't he Dragusin's man, though?
From what I could see, he was behind Dragusin. Gray was Gray's man. Ray and Regulon had the guy behind him, which was, I think, can't remember who it was, but from what I remember, Gray was the one. He was in front of Gray. He was behind. He was behind Dragoshin. So could they have been tied together? You could maybe argue that, but it was definitely Gray was on marking him at the time, and I think Gray clearly stops because I think he's trying to catch him offside, but it didn't work. So that was a frustration. And then obviously, I think Fraser Forster's got to do better, to be honest. I think a goalkeeper with maybe faster reflexes probably stops it. And as well, he turns his head away. You know, you're in the 86th minute. He doesn't stand up and look at the ball, and it's a feeble attempt to save it. As much as it's a great finish, and even maybe if he doesn't turn his head his way, you could argue that he still doesn't save it. But I think Fraser Forster has got to do better in that situation. He's got to make sure that he's stopping that ball, even if it means closing him down and like smothering the ball or anything. But he kind of just stands there, and then Larson has the shot, and he turns his head away, and it ends up in the roof of the net. That was a massive frustration, and also a bit frustrated as well that I think, like, from that angle, he should never be scoring. Like, It's a great finish, and I think 9 times out of 10, most players who take a shot from that angle, they don't score, and obviously it's in the 86th minute, and he gets the goal. So massively frustrating. All the good work I thought that defensively anywhere that we did in that second half goes out the window in that moment, and obviously, we end up chasing the game for the last, for stoppage time. We have one chance with Sarr, doesn't put it away, which on it looked like a great chance in the stadium. I watched it back. I mean, it's a good chance, but it's not like the sitter that I thought it was. It would have been a good header if we would have scored from there. Forster then had to make a save from Doherty, so either team, I guess, could have won it at that point. But it's massively frustrating on the day.
Of course it is, and just carries on the narrative about Spurs not being able to get over the line in games. I did feel like that performance-wise, it was a little bit better than we've shown in recent weeks, but still not good enough, in my opinion. A few good performances individually on the day, I thought, with the likes of Kulusevski. I thought Bentancur was a lot better than the previous game. I thought Dom Solanke in the latter stage of that second half, he was kind of on a one-man mission at times to try and push us forward, but he was getting no service, and the one time he did get service from Timo Werner, he just couldn't get on the end of it. I thought Pedro Porro as well put in his best performance in a while, but again, when I say best performance in a while, it's not saying much because he's been really poor of late.
I think he played well though.
He did play well, but it's not like we've seen him have a lot better displays. Let's be real.
Yeah, but it's no surprise he had a bit of a rest and he had an improved performance. It doesn't surprise me that.
So I thought Solanke, Deki, Bentancur, Porro were probably our best performers of the day. But still, when you're talking about a team performance, an overall team performance, it still wasn't good enough.
And obviously Doggy goes off injured as well midway through the second half, and we have to play Reguilon. I mean, we ended up with the left-hand side of Reguilon and Timo Werner, which is, in 2020, coming up to 2025. And it's crazy that is a left-hand side that we ended the game with. You add into that left-side centre-back as well, Archie Gray. That was the left-hand side. That's what we have to contend with at the moment. But in terms of was it good enough, I think it was good enough to win the game. We didn't win it, but we should have won it. I think in terms of the performance, I wouldn't say it was like a game we should have won 4 or 5-0. It was a struggle. I think Wolves actually did play well. I've got to give them credit.
It was a tight game. I don't think you're talking about this game at 2-2 saying Wolves really got away with one, because I don't think they did. I thought a draw was pretty much a fair reflection of the game.
I think it's a bit harsh on Spurs. I think we should have won. I think a win. If you win that game, I don't think you say it was unfair on Tottenham if we won that game. I think we probably just about did enough to win the game.
But also a draw, you're not saying that's
no, because it was a tight game
well,
because Wolves played well. I'm not saying Wolves didn't. I think Wolves were. It wasn't a case of Wolves were playing rubbish. They actually came with a clearly new energy under the new manager. They played some really good passing moves, and I think much better in possession than I've seen them this season. Completely much better. There were times we were struggling to get the ball off them for sure, and they were playing it around us. Their back three was in different kind of positions. I thought Nuri, I picked him out. Obviously, look, it's no secret he's having a good season, but I picked him out as one player I was really worried about in this game specifically because of the wing back situation that we play, and obviously he did make a difference, and he was one of their better players on the day, probably their best player because Cunha went off at half time. And they did play well, but I think as well that's not credit to Tottenham, but I think we did enough to beat a Wolves team that were playing well. I think we should have won the game. I think it's deeply frustrating that we didn't. I didn't come away with it thinking it was another shocking performance like some of our other previous ones. It was better than that. It wasn't as good as that we've seen in other really good performances where we've battered teams and stuff like that. We've obviously played a lot better this season as well. So,
but come on, we're playing at home to a team in the relegation zone.
Yeah. Yeah, but you look at the circumstances we're in. We're ending the game with we're playing Reguilon and Werner for half the game. It's like...
Yeah, but Reguilon and Werner both probably get into the Wolves team.
Do they? Nuri?
I mean, they definitely get a lot of minutes. Definitely a lot more minutes than they get our team.
Does Werner get into their team?
I mean, he plays.
So.
Of course he gets minutes.
No, what, ahead of Juan Cunha?
For sure he gets minutes.
No, he doesn't.
Bellegarde started for them. Like, he'll get minutes ahead of Bellegarde.
Well, on the right wing, I don't know. At the moment, I don't know. But look. We know they're in good form. They're confident. They've got a new manager. They've got new ideas, and they've clearly got new energy. Like, of course, we should be beating them. I'm not saying we shouldn't be beating them. I think we should have won the game. I don't sit here. I don't come away from that game thinking that we were terrible or like
we had a team on that pitch good enough to create a lot more chances than we created.
We created enough chances to win the game,
but we still didn't create enough chances in terms of when you don't put those chances away. You got to keep creating more. We didn't do that.
Right, but then on that side, you're criticising us for not going forward enough, and then we ended up. But you've also criticised Ange for not sitting back, and we did do that yesterday.
But you got to kill the game off, surely. At 2-1, you got to kill the game off.
We tried.
I mean, we tried, but I mean, in the first 25 minutes of the second half, we did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's a close game. Look, this is the Premier League. Like, you're going to have periods of the game where it's tough, and you can't be at your best all the time, especially under the circumstances we are. I understand that. We're not going to be at our brilliant best all the time at the moment. We're absolutely stretched thin. We've got massive injuries. Clearly, there's players playing a lot. I thought the subs really helped us.
They did help us.
I think it made a big difference when we brought the subs on. We found new energy. We started creating chances again. Clearly, that energy helped.
I thought Maddison was poor when he came on. Like,
yeah.
He came on and he was like, again, a bit of a carbon copy as well, where we've seen Maddison come on like he's probing and he's looking to do stuff, but like just not enough quality on the ball from Maddison to really go and pick that lock.
Well, I felt a lot of the time he was going for Timo Werner, and he was either offside or dribbling out our play, and
That's true.
A lot of the work came undone. But yeah, I think Maddison could have done more.
One eye on the darts, mate. He had
probably he was. Maddison, yeah, he could have done more. He had 25 minutes, but as well, I also felt like the way we were approaching that second half wasn't maybe suited to how Maddison likes to play. We will definitely look. I think it's clear to see in that second half, especially in the last stages, we were playing a lot deeper than we usually do. Decky said after the game, which I found quite interesting, he said maybe we tried to protect the lead too much, and that's not who we are. That's not what we tried to do. But maybe in the second half we retreated too deep and we tried to protect the lead too much. But we did that. But in other games, if we hadn't have done that, people would have criticised Ange for saying he doesn't change, doesn't have a plan B, all this stuff, and then we do sit back, and obviously we concede a goal because Dragson's probably not 100%, and Gray's an 18-year-old centre-back, and he's not got a lot of experience in that role, and we've got an ageing keeper, and all these different things are probably why we conceded. And obviously, they score a 1 in 100 shot, right? And then we concede the goal because we maybe did sit back a bit too much, right? And we allowed too much impetus late in the game. We allowed them too much. Maybe we should have pressed them and should have held them. But that's what Ange does try to do, right, in general. But he gets criticised for it. So it's like either way, he's getting criticised here.
The reality is, though, like we keep sitting here and blaming injuries and blaming fatigue and all this kind of stuff. But you look at the team on the pitch yesterday. Pedro Porro's just had a rest, so he shouldn't be. I mean, I know he's played a crazy amount of minutes, but he had a fairly good game. Yeah, he had a fairly good game yesterday, so I don't think fatigue comes in for him. Udogie, obviously, he was just coming back from injury and he goes off injured again. You got Bentancur and Bissouma. Bentancur's hardly played any minutes. He had a good game yesterday. Bissouma, I thought he was terrible yesterday. Bissouma. You got Johnson there, who hasn't played too many starts over the last month or so.
Got a goal and penalty.
Yeah, Kulusevski obviously played a lot of minutes. Sonny played a lot of minutes, and Solanke's played a lot of minutes. But you had players on the bench like James Maddison, who hasn't started the last game, where he probably should have started. Like Lucas Bergvall, who's done enough in his cameo appearances to start. Like, why aren't these players that aren't playing often starting games when we keep saying, oh, we're too fatigued, we're too injured, we're too this, we're too that? Why are these players that aren't starting regularly playing? I don't understand it.
Well, as you say, Bentancur didn't clearly need the rest because he hasn't been playing too much recently. Decky obviously had a good game. He just has like 3 lungs. I don't know how he does it. I know he had a poor game in midweek, but he had a good game on this occasion, and he somehow found the energy.
Basuma's just having shockers week in, week out at the moment. Plus, he's played a lot of minutes.
But he clearly felt like we needed that energy. Obviously, he wanted to get
what energy did Basuma give? Like, he didn't give any energy.
But he allowed us to He allowed us to make sure we're dominating that midfield for the majority of it. We didn't really get dominated by Gomez and Andre. He felt like he needed those legs in the middle to make sure that, whether it worked or not, it's a different question, but that's what clearly he felt we needed. He felt like having Maddison there. He wanted to start Johnson, who obviously ended up scoring. He wanted to have Decky in the middle, and he felt like you couldn't have Decky and Maddison, so he made a choice, and he went for Decky. That's what he did, and Decky played really well. I don't think the selection's a problem yesterday, and also I don't think the performance was a massive issue as much as we did.
No, but what I'm saying is that we keep blaming fatigue and the problems that we're going through for us not getting results. We didn't get a result yesterday, and then we're sitting here again saying it's because of the situation that we're in, because we don't have enough players. But there's players on the bench that aren't fatigued.
I don't think it was a fatigue issue why we didn't get the result yesterday. We didn't get the result because we conceded a late goal and we didn't kill off the game. That's why we didn't get the result. I think whether we sat back because of fatigue or whatever it is, I don't know. But I'm not sure what the reason is. I don't know where it was in instruction, whether players took it upon themselves to drop too deep because of anxiety about potentially conceding, whether it was an instructor saying, look, let's try and protect this lead. We've got a 2-1 and, we're clearly struggling with fitness. But I don't think yesterday was why we dropped points necessarily was down to those issues, albeit I do think we're still suffering from them. But what do you suggest he should have changed? Where should Maddison have played?
Well, I said before the game, take Decky out of the team, take Son out. I know Decky had a good game; he was probably our best player, so I'll probably prove wrong in that situation. But I'm saying protect your players a bit more. Take Sonny out the firing line. Play Lucas Bergvall instead of Basuma. Play players that are fresh and raring to go. Because I thought, like I said, I don't think Basuma's doing himself any favours at the moment. I don't think Sonny's doing himself any favours at the moment. And if you play players that are fresh, I think that gives us a better opportunity to win the game.
Basuma didn't start on Thursday, did he?
Basuma? I don't know when Basuma started,
but he didn't start on Thursday.
You sure about Basuma? He did, didn't he?
Did he? No, he didn't. Bentancur started.
Well, either way, he's putting in shockers every time he plays.
Whatever, but but in terms of freshness, I don't think keeping Basuma is because of fresh. Like he just didn't. Maybe he didn't have a great game, but it's not because he was he's fatigued. He didn't play on Thursday, so and then he took him off. Did he take him off and then brought on?
He take him off and we had our best period in the game.
Yeah. But that's because Saul was a lot fresher because he had maybe.
But Basuma didn't play against Forest, but he's been playing pretty much every other game.
Yeah, but he had a rest, and then he started this one. I don't think that was the case. Maybe for Sonny, but then you see what Werner brings up, and I can understand why he can't stand the sight of starting Werner at the moment. Obviously, Sonny only played an hour anyway, so maybe he thought I can get an hour out of Sonny.
Look, let's get it real. Timo Werner in 25 minutes created more than Sonny did in 65.
Okay, but maybe he felt I could get an hour out of Son. Yeah, and look, it didn't work because Son wasn't good. But I'm just saying, he felt I can get an hour out of Son and then I'll play Werner for the last half an hour. And watching Werner's cameo, I know he created one opportunity, but the guy can't control a football most of the time. He's dribbling the ball off the pitch. He is so frustrating. I think even Ange is clearly getting frustrated with him, given some of the comments he's made about him, which I don't think he's made about any other player but him. And you got a player who's on big wages. He's won big things in his career, right? He's had seasons where he's done well, and he's obviously a German international. I don't know how many caps he has for Germany, but he's got a lot of caps for Germany, and he's coming on the pitch for us. He can't control bloody football. He can't keep the ball on the bloody pitch, right? It's got to be massively frustrating. And he's given Werner every opportunity. So he decided not to start him, and he decided I'd rather see Son for an hour and then take him off rather than start Werner. That's what he decided. Obviously, it didn't work because Son wasn't good. Hopefully, Son with a week break now could rest up a bit and just hopefully recharge. I want to see Sonny starting next game, but yeah, it clearly. I wouldn't say, but the thing is, my point is, I don't think it massively changes if you maybe play Werner for an hour and bring on Son for the last half an hour, I don't know if it massively changes.
I do feel like maybe bringing on a fresher Son just for the last 20 minutes, it could have like pushed us on to get that killer blow in the last 20 minutes of the game.
Maybe, but like he didn't do much for the first half either. So like I don't know whether there's a fatigue issue where he just, wasn't at his best, and whether it be for the last half an hour or the first. Maybe against tiring legs, you could argue he's got a better chance of doing something. But I don't see that as.
And like, what more does Bergvall have to do to get a start as well? Like Bergvall's been brilliant.
Yeah, we could see maybe more of Bergvall. But again, is the team selection why we didn't win yesterday?
We don't know. We don't know if we would have played a different team.
We did
enough
enough to win with the team on the pitch.
Just. I mean, but like we're saying, a draw is a fair reflection of the game.
I don't think it is.
Of course it is.
I think it's a bit harsh. As I said before, I think it's a bit harsh on Spurs. I think we should have won the game. I think in terms of the chances we created, we did enough to win the game. We didn't, and we got to take that on the chin. And
it's not like we played well. We didn't play well yesterday.
We played well enough to win the game. And it wasn't a great scintillating performance. It wasn't one of our best, and I've seen us play much better. But did we do enough to win the game? I would argue we did. Look, we didn't, and we ended up conceding a goal later on. It's massively frustrating. And when we have the back line that we have, when you don't kill off the game, there's always a chance you do concede. You've got to kill the chances off when you get them. But I didn't come away from that feeling like it was a terrible performance and we got lucky with the draw or anything. I think we probably should have won. Again, it wasn't like we massively deserved the win. It wasn't like we were much better than them. As I say, Wolves are playing well at the moment. They played well yesterday. It was a tough game. This was Premier League. So you're going to have tough games. This was a very tough game. We didn't blow them away. I grant you that. It wasn't a 4-5-0 win. But did we deserve to win the game and get the 3 points? I think we did, and we didn't. And we got to take that on the chin. It's unfortunate.
What I was really annoyed about yesterday was Bentancur. Like, as much as I thought he played well and one of our better players, to get that booking in literally the last minute of stoppage time, like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? And now he's going to be suspended for the Newcastle game.
It's our frustration.
So stupid, though, isn't it?
It is stupid, but I also understand we're chasing the game. He's desperate to try and get the ball back, and he makes a lunging challenge, to stop a Wolves counter attack, and he's thinking he's going to win the ball and set Tottenham up on a counter. Didn't happen. He ends up missing it. He mistimes it, and he gets the booking, and he looked frustrated in himself. But I think it's more our frustration of how the game went in terms of that we conceded and we allowed Wolves back in the game to get a draw in a situation where we should have killed the game and we should have won. And that's probably where it bore out of. But it's very frustrating because he had a good game, and he was looking like we need him as well right now. We need him in that form, and now he's going to be out for another game. But in terms of some of the narratives I've seen after this game, I saw some podcasters. I was watching some reaction yesterday. I just saw so much rubbish. I saw some people suggesting after this game that it was clear now these players are not playing for Ange Postecoglou, and I can see on this pitch that they're not fighting for him. And I just think that watching the game yesterday, I just think that's absolute rubbish. I just don't see. I think these players are giving absolutely everything to try and get the result yesterday. And I know we didn't get it, but I think the suggestion by some fans at the moment that I've seen that these players are not playing for him and it's clear now is just absolute garbage. And I think that narrative is, I don't know, maybe watching it on TV you get a different sense of it than being in the stadium, but I just think watching the game yesterday, these players are giving everything, in my opinion. They're absolutely running themselves into the ground, and I feel bad for them at the moment.
Yeah, look, I don't think they're downing tools or anything like that. I just feel like we're just not good enough at the moment, and the results show it. I think this season we've got a lower points per game ratio. I saw a stat than Christian Gross. Christian Gross, 97, 98. That was when Spurs were at their pretty much their worst in the Premier League era. Literally the worst of the Premier League era, the worst of the worst.
Yeah, but it's a weird season.
We're fighting relegation.
Apart from Liverpool, right, who are unbelievable. Look, if you look at the points at the moment, right, Forest are second, yeah?
Yeah.
On 35 points?
37.
They're on 37. So they're on course for 72 or something, right? Which second place to be 72 is extremely low, right? 72 is usually in the top 4 battle. Yeah, you're not usually in second place with that kind of a low points total. So that means all the teams below that, right? People are in 5th and 6th, who are on course for like probably historically low points totals in those positions. Look, I'm not saying I'm not saying that he's doing well and all this kind of stuff. Obviously 1.26 whatever the points per game, yeah, is extremely low and it's not good enough. And obviously we need to do better than that. But there are clearly reasons for that. I was reading an analysis of like the points per game and all that kind of stuff when we have fit defenders and when we don't. And when we have our fully fit defence, right? Yes, we still lose games. I'm not saying we're the perfect team, but our points per game is about 1.9, right? Which is still below like the 2 which you probably want, which is puts you like in a good place in like top 4. 1.9 is not amazing, but it's like not horrendous either. And you extrapolate where we would be if we had a 1.9 this season, right? We would be in about 3rd place, right? Ever since obviously this injury crisis, we've had a massive drop off and we've stopped winning games, and we're now basically we're struggling to win. And that's, for me, I could point to as to I would say why this season is going so badly. I think if the injuries wouldn't have happened, I'm not saying we'd be winning the league, but we'd definitely be in there in the terms of the race for that top 4, top 5. I think at the moment, obviously we're out of it at the moment because we've completely dropped off a cliff at the moment in the current injury crisis. We can't seem to get any sort of let up. We've just got a Doggy now injured. We had Radu playing at the back who wasn't 100% as well. We've got Gray who's having to play every single game at the moment at centre back and trying his best. It's very, very difficult, and this league is so unforgiving, this league. You've got so many good teams at the moment. You have any sort of drop off and teams are just exploiting it every single week. And even when you have games like yesterday where you probably should have won and we still can't get over the line because of whatever, the last minute goal or whatever, we didn't kill the game off, we still can't go over the line. Look, obviously the pressure's going to build. The longer we're in this situation, the pressure's not going to relent unless we start winning games, and I get that, but I find it hard to see how it turns around in the short term while this situation's going on. But I also don't see how a change of manager helps that.
They should be able to get some sort of points on the board though, like regardless of injuries or not, like we should be able to get some sort of points on the board. And I think it's not good enough. It's nowhere near good enough. And like I keep saying at the end of every game, the worrying signs were creeping in before the injuries even happened. You know, 1.29 or something this season, and the injuries only hit in December.
Yeah, but it wasn't 1.29 before December, was it?
But it was getting bad. It was getting bad.
The point, if you look at how we were going, right, before December or whatever, before these injuries hit, before we had a massive injury crisis, we would still be right in the mix.
But it was dropping. But we were dropping before that.
We've only really dropped because of this injury crisis. That's why
I don't agree. I think this was coming. I think this was coming all along. It's not easy to say that because we were saying that. I was saying that after the Ipswich game.
I'm telling you, if we didn't have this injury crisis, we'd have a few more wins.
A few more wins, fine, but we would still be dropping.
That's all it takes. A few more wins and you're right back in the mix. So that's all it takes. Right now, we're struggling to get any wins because of the circumstances that we're in. But all it takes is like 2 or 3 wins, and all of a sudden you're back in the mix. So I think we would have had that if it wasn't for the circumstances. But unfortunately, I'm not saying we would have won every game. I'm sure we still would have lost games. I'm sure we would have dropped points. Maybe we would have dropped points to teams that you expect us not to drop points to. But we would have had we'd have more points than we are now. And all it needs is another 2 or 3 wins, right, out of the games that we've dropped points in, or even some draws in there, and we would have been right in the mix. But unfortunately,
you know what? I don't even know if we would have had more points because I'm looking at the teams that we did play in that period. I mean, Chelsea we probably wouldn't have beaten. Bournemouth we probably wouldn't have beaten. Fulham, would we have beaten them with the results they're getting at the moment? Liverpool we definitely wouldn't have beaten. Forest going away there is very hard, and our away form even at the best of times ain't great. And yeah, maybe we would have got a win yesterday, but like I don't even think we would have got that many more points on the board.
I think we would have. But look, this is Captain Hindsight. We don't know that we got the points that we got, but I think we would have gotten some more points if we didn't have this injury crisis for sure. That's my opinion, and it doesn't take too many more points on what we have to be in a position where everyone's not melting down. In my opinion, but look, we are in where we are. There's no doubt about it. The pressure's going to continue to build. I still don't think it's the right decision to sack him. I still think that we're in the current situation that we're in. right? Whatever manager who inherits this is going to have the same situation, and I don't see them getting too many more points right now than what we're getting. And I think the best course of action is we as I said, I said this after the Bournemouth game, and I mean, I'm not going to change my mind. There's a lot of pain that's going to happen in the next month, and this is what we're incurring right now. It's been very painful, these results, but I think there's not much. While we've got no defence, pretty much. Like, I don't know what we can do to stem the tide right now. It's very difficult.
But we do have a defence. We started with 3 out of our... I mean, Dragoshin we brought in January. We basically...
He's not 100% fit. He's got, he wasn't
okay,
100% fit.
but around about we've had Porro, Udogie or Spence, and Dragoshin and Archie Gray filling in. And our best performers have been probably Archie Gray on a consistent basis during this period. So I think this whole narrative, we haven't had Mickey van der Ven and Coutinho Romero, and we have been decimated. I'm not going to lie, of course we've been decimated, but I don't think from a player personnel that's actually been playing, we should be getting more points than we've got. Of course we should, and we should be managing this period a lot better than we are.
It's easy to say that. It's easy said than done. I think I don't know a different manager that just gets all these wins that you're talking about with what's available at the moment with how the squad is. I don't know. Maybe playing a different way. Maybe if we really protect the defence and go all short and Dyche, maybe we can do it, and maybe we can grind out some results. But that's not going to lead anywhere long term. Like, in terms of having someone who's going to play attacking football and get these results with that defence, it's very, very difficult. And
regardless of like I keep saying, regardless of the injury thing, like, it's still not been good enough, even when we've had our first team players out there. How can you say it's been good enough?
My point is, when we had a first team, right, in terms of if we would have carried on the way we were going with the first team, the position we would be in would not be bad. It wouldn't have been terrible. It would probably be in like the top 7 conversation. It's very tight in that situation. There's only a few points in it. That's probably where we would be. It only takes, as you say, a bit of a drop off in at the moment. You're in a very bad run of form like we are because of the circumstances, and all of a sudden you're in the bottom half and you're falling away because this league at the moment is very, very unforgiving and it's so tight. All we've needed is like another 2 wins and we're right back in there in the mix. And
we wouldn't have got another 2 wins though.
I think that's your opinion, but I think we would have. And I think we've shown in this season we're capable of getting wins of this season before this injury crisis. We were very capable of getting wins. Maybe it was a 1 win and 1 loss, right? But if we would have gotten 1 win and 1 loss in the past few weeks, we would be in a fine position. We wouldn't be in the position where we are in the moment. We're dropping like a stone. We're not winning any games, and that's the problem.
We've barely been able to win an away game all season. We've beaten Man U and Man City. That's about it, right? All
Southampton.
And Southampton. Okay, and Southampton all season. Man City are the ones that have fallen off a cliff. Man U lost their manager a few weeks later. Like, we've only been able to beat teams away from home in crisis. That's the reality, right? Like, at home, we haven't won a game since the Aston Villa game, and we lost to Ipswich. We had pretty much a full team out there. We lost to Crystal Palace, who hadn't won all season. We had a full team out there. So, I mean, I don't understand where you think these magical wins are coming from with our first team.
We've also won 7 games where we've battered teams, and they don't come out of nowhere. They don't just disappear because it doesn't suit the narrative. We've shown we can win games. Just because, yes, we might have lost games because of Ange, but we've also won games because of Ange as well, and that also has to be taken into account. These aren't magical wins. These are wins that we've earned, and we could have earned more wins under different circumstances. But in the circumstances we are at the moment, it's very, very difficult.
But we've had more bad losses than good losses. We've had more bad results than good results since Ange has come to this football club.
We've had more bad results than good results since Ange. Yeah, maybe. But that's... that, you know,
not maybe, because we've lost. Haven't we lost more games than we've won since Ange has come?
You know, that's under also that's reality as well. But you know, Ange has had a big job to contend with. You know, completely rebuilding this team, rebuilding the style of play, having an attacking style of play without your best ever striker in Harry Kane, who was bailed you out so many times over the years. We now don't have that. Right, we don't have this basically get out of jail free card that we've had for many, many years that got us so many wins, 30, 25, 30 goals a season. We don't have that. So, you know, he's got to have to make up for the goals some other way. So that means playing an attacking brand of football, and that's what he's trying to do. And it wasn't going to come overnight. And I think we were building in a good way. Yes, it wasn't perfect, but I thought we were doing pretty well by and large in terms of building towards something, and then now this injury crisis hit and it's completely derailed our season, no doubt about it. The what's happening right now has derailed our season, but I think the stat, if you look at the facts of how we were going before all these injuries hit and how we are going now, right? Yes, it wasn't perfect. Yes, we had those losses to Ipswich and Palace, and they were very frustrating. Yes, we maybe had picked up some results that we didn't think we should against teams that we should be beating, but we also had some very big wins, and we also showed that as much as we can lose games, we can lose games that we should win, also win games that you think that you don't expect us to win as well. And I also think that the stats show the points per game and all that stuff. Everyone puts this stat, 1.26. It's because it's only that bad because of the form right now. If you take it out, right, before December.
But why are we excusing it just because we've got injuries? Is that why we're excusing it? Just because we've got some injuries?
It's not just some injuries. Like, come on, we're not got any centre backs. Like, any team would suffer from that.
But Archie Gray has been one of our best performers. Like, he's been doing really well. He's been doing really well.
Under the circumstances.
Radu Dragusin is a centre back. You know, we bought him for big money last January.
Yes, but we got a 37-year-old goalkeeper in Fraser Forster who can't really implement that sweeping high line that we want to. We got Dragusin, who's he's good, but he's also a very young 22-year-old centre-back who's feeling his way into the Premier League, who's getting his first consistent run, and he's being partnered with Archie Gray, who's an 18-year-old central midfielder. They've got to somehow develop a partnership very quickly in an unrelenting league, in the Premier League, which is very, very difficult. Any kind of manager who has to contend with these things, there's going to be suffering results, 100%. It's very, very difficult. We're trying to make do with it, and obviously he somehow got through the quarter-final and got us to a Carabao Cup semi-final. But in the Premier League, when you're playing every 3 days,
we somehow beat a team that are losing week in, week out.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a minor miracle we won that game in hindsight.
A minor miracle. Yeah. They're losing to everyone. They just got battered to Wolves. They're losing week in, week
struggling.
out.
They've got a fully fit squad. They've got a new manager as well who's implementing new ideas, and he's got a fully fit squad of players to choose from. And we're at the moment running on empty. We're playing the same players pretty much most weeks. A lot of players are suffering with fatigue. We can't really. There's a lot of players we can't really change. And coupled into that, this defence. It's any manager who's got them injuries in defence that we do is going to suffer for it. There's no manager.
We've only been able to really, apart from 1 or 2 games this season, we've only really been able to beat teams that are in crisis this season. We haven't, I don't think any of our wins have been that impressive. At the time, they were impressive because we didn't even know what was coming ahead. But Man City have barely won a game since we've beaten them. Manchester United, obviously, like I said,
Forest 3-0.
Okay, I said barely. They have won a game. Man United have been in crisis pretty much all season. They've sacked their manager since we played them. West Ham pretty much been in crisis all season and been shocking. And Villa,
half the Premier League are in crisis. Okay,
well, three teams isn't half the Premier League.
Yeah, we've won 7 games. Okay, and look, yes, again, I'm not saying we're the perfect team. I'm not saying we haven't dropped silly points where even with our first team. I'm just saying the points we were getting with our first team would have been enough at this point to have seen us still hang in there in terms of being in that top 5-6 conversation. That's the reality. That's what the facts were showing. And since this has happened, we've now had a complete drop off, and we're falling like a stone. And it's hard to take. But I don't see a new manager magically changing that.
Yeah, we've had a drop off from being pretty much inconsistent, like very poor and good. We were like one off, and now it's off.
Yeah.
But it was never good enough even before the injury crisis.
Well, if we would have been 6th or 5th, that would have been good enough. As I say, that points per game would have had us in the top 4. I'm not saying we would have kept it up. I mean, maybe there's a slight drop off on that, even with that points per game.
We would, because the games got harder.
But even with a slight drop, but we can handle hard games. We can play against hard teams with our first team.
We didn't show that last season, really.
We showed that this season.
When?
We've showed it. We've played good games against hard teams.
Who?
Teams in the top. Aston Villa, we played well. I thought Newcastle, we played well.
Well, we lost.
Yeah, we still played well. I'm saying we can play. Yes, you're not going to win every game, but we can definitely play against them. We can definitely show we can get points against them. That's my point. Chelsea, with our first team, we were 2-0 up. Maybe we would have got something out of that game.
I don't think it. Look, from a general basis, since Ange Postecoglou has come here, I still think he's living off those first 10 games, and I think that is why a lot of fans are still backing him right now. But I think he's running out of excuses. I genuinely believe he's running out of excuses, and I think he should be sacked. I think he should be. I think
Ange
from
out, go say it.
Ange out. There, I said it. All right, I said it. And this is the first time I'm saying it, and I just don't believe that he should be staying in the job for the results that he's showing and the performance levels that he's showing as well. He's just not. Like the stats bear it out for everyone to see. You're a guy that heavily relies on stats and heavily looks at the stats, and I don't understand how you cannot see it with your own eyes.
I've explained it to you. I've explained it to you very clearly. Why? And that's how I believe.
And he'll be gone. He'll be gone. Once we lose to Newcastle, once we lose to Liverpool, that'll be that.
We'll see. Maybe. I think that would be the wrong decision, in my opinion. I don't see a point in sacking him. I think if we sack him, look, what if we go with an interim manager? That would be a massive mistake, because what would be the point in that, right? And if we who we getting mid-season right now to come in and steady this ship, right? Who's going to change it, right? Who's going to magically bring back the centre backs or whatever, or I don't know. I don't see a new manager coming mid-season, right? Who's going to be the answer, the long-term answer? If you want to go for like an Iraola or Marco Silva, they're probably only going to come at the end of the season anyway. I don't see them getting out of their clubs mid-season. So I think right now there's not much upside I see to sacking him.
Why can't you get Iraola mid-season?
Because he's in the top 6 race with Bournemouth. Why would he want to leave that for this right now?
Surely it's a much bigger club and a much bigger job.
With a
and he'll get paid a lot more as well.
I don't think he comes right now. I think he's doing a great job at Bournemouth. Why would he risk that to come and contend with his injury crisis? He's probably looking at Amorim and saying, look, things aren't exactly improving.
And why do we keep getting these injuries? Why does this injury crisis keep happening? 2 years in a row under Ange, we're saying the manager has nothing to do with it.
Maybe some he does, maybe some he doesn't. I don't know. I'm not on the medical team. Maybe Ange is the one causing all the injuries. It's a possibility. I can't deny that. I don't know for sure. None of us do. Obviously, the ones like Vicario, I think the ones like Romero, I think obviously the Bentancur ban. Like, there's not much he can do about those kind of ones. But the reoccurring injuries, like Van de Ven's injury, like a Doggy's injury.
It was the same at Celtic. There was literally a quote from him saying, I can't do enough, I can't protect the players or something along those lines. Like, this happened at Celtic and it's happening again here.
Well, Celtic, we seem to cope with it.
Well, it's a bit of a different kettle of fish managing Celtic in the SPL and managing Tottenham.
Of course. I don't know why. Maybe it is that. Maybe Ange does have a part to play in it. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I'm not a doctor. I'm not on the medical team. Maybe Ange. Maybe it's the way he's playing. Maybe it's the way he's bringing players back. I don't think we can say for sure. But I don't think you can. I can't discredit it because it might be something to do with him. But I don't know. I don't know if that's enough for me to say that's why he should be sacked because he's causing all his injuries. I don't know. That's not. I don't know. That's enough for me to say that.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is the match review. Let's get into some super chats actually just before we move on. First up from Big Country, Chris says, Sim, behave yourself today, please.
I'm behaving, thank you very much.
Behave, Sim. Joseph Vukovic says, it has to be the worst before change happens. It has to get worse before change happens. Top to bottom, we need change to compete at the top of the EPL and Europe. Football is more competitive if we keep the same course and expect results will continue to be disappointing.
Football is more competitive if we keep on the same course and expect results. Well, yeah, obviously, if we keep with the same results, it's not going to be good. I get that. I don't think it's. Look, did we drop points because of Ange yesterday? Was Ange the reason we dropped? Like, I think he changed it. He went a bit. I don't know if he went a bit deeper. I think people are asking him, but we conceded the late goal because our defence at the moment can't stand up to scrutiny, and that's the reality. I think before this injury crisis, I think our defence, in terms of the numbers, were absolutely fine. Like, yes, we was too open at times, but in general. Actually, the defensive numbers were not bad. They weren't, they were actually, in terms of like expected goals against and stuff, they were one of the best in the league. It's now dropped off a cliff, but I think it would with any team right now. Any team who are suffering injury, playing the defence that we have. I think any team's going to suffer for that, and we are suffering for it for sure.
So, I mean, the defensive numbers weren't bad and we were scoring the most in the league. So what's the problem been?
Defensive numbers weren't all the injuries.
No, I'm saying before the injuries. You're saying the defensive numbers dropped off a cliff after the injuries, right?
The defenders, yeah, they did. Yeah, that's the truth.
Okay. So if that's the case, then the defensive numbers weren't bad and we were scoring the most in the league. Then what's the problem been? Why haven't we been able to get consistent results?
Consistency comes when you're only really the top teams get consistently good results. That makes you a top team. We're not a top team yet, but yeah, we're getting in. I think we were on the right path, and then we've completely been derailed. I don't think it's been perfect. Obviously, it's going to have bumps in the road, and we're still a young team as well. On top of that. But I don't think there was a massive problem before these injuries. Yes, there were problems, don't get me wrong, and there were frustrations, but I don't think it was this bad, and I still think we would have been in the battle probably for a top 5 position if it wasn't for these injuries.
Howie EIS says, "Morning lads, we hate to admit it, but Son has been shambolic. Sell him and Poro and get a quality winger and centre mid." Look, Son still has a lot of quality. There is something obviously going on with him at the moment, but I just feel like we need to take him out the firing. And maybe a week's rest will do him the world of good, and he'll come back fit and firing for Newcastle next week. But Son is the least of our problems, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Brian Daigle, big up Brian. He says, "It's gone way past if players were fit or not. Other teams have worked us out. This isn't acceptable any longer, and we're in a bigger mess than we think." I get what people's frustrations are, and I get what Brian Daigle's saying. Of course, the results are not good enough. I get that, but I think there are reasons behind why the results are they are at the moment, and I don't think many managers can get us playing consistently and get us consistent results right now under the circumstances. Brian Daigle as well says, "Simeon brother, I love you dearly, but we have no centre-backs because Ange stupidly risks both of them in the same bloody game."
Look, I think the Romero one, I don't know if I blame Ange for it. He picked up another injury. Maybe, look, he risked him in the same game. He got to bring him back at some point. Was Romero too much of a risk? I don't know. Van der Ven, he says maybe he put too much risk on, but maybe that happened because Romero went off in the same game, so Van der Ven played a bit more than he should have, and
it was stupid to play Van der Ven that game. Let's be real.
Well, look, he looked all right for 70 minutes, and he carried on.
And himself said he was a risk. So if you're a risk and you're going through the problems that we're going through, then don't play him.
Yeah, he should have taken him off. Yeah, I agree with that, and that was a mistake. I'm not saying Ange is perfect. He's had made mistakes. I'm not sitting here saying he hasn't made mistakes. He has, but it doesn't mean those mistakes mean he should be out of a job. That's just my opinion.
Tony Rodriguez, member for 35 months. Tony, big up to yourself. He says, "Ange is the worst coach since Terry Neal."
Maybe, I don't know. Well, stats-wise, probably. I mean, points-wise, I should say.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our player rating, starting off with Fraser Forster. 6 all round for Big Fraze. Look, he wasn't tested that much. I don't think he could have done much with Hwang's goal. I thought he could have done more with the goal that we conceded in the last minute to Strand Larsen. His playing out the back was a bit of a mixed bag yesterday. I thought some really nice plays out the back and some not so nice plays out the back. But yeah, it was a fairly quiet day for him, to be honest.
Yeah, he had one thing to do, which was when the ball came across the face of goal from Aït-Nouri and he kind of hit it away with his feet. I think actually his kicking, his passing was okay in general, but you still get nervous when the ball's at his feet. But yeah, actually it was a fairly quiet game. I think they score with their 2 shots on target, I think, Wolves. So I think for the second goal, should have done better, to be honest, actually. I'm a bit disappointed with him. He does turn his head away, but that's all he had to do pretty much for most of the game.
Pedro Porro up next. 7's all right for Pedro. His best game in a while. I don't think it's his best game is like anywhere near his best game in a Spurs shirt, or I don't think he was unbelievable in the game, but it was just nice to see him defend his back post a little better, influence things going forward. I thought his corners were really dangerous as well. So I was happy with Pedro yesterday.
Yeah, I think best game for a while. I think no surprise he had a bit of a rest and looks a lot fresher. Still some bit sloppy on the ball, but did obviously put in a couple of really good corners for Bentancur's goal and Dragshin's goal. And I thought defensively was definitely his best defensive to play in a long time. I thought Aït-Nouri Nouri was getting a bit of joy down that side, but considering he was playing wing back and he also had an inside forward to contend with, I thought he dealt with that situation actually pretty well, and not many chances were created. And I think a lot of that was down to Pedro. I thought he made a lot of good tackles, so fair play to him.
Radu Dragusin, Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. I thought from a defensive standpoint, I thought he did pretty well yesterday. And, with the narrative of him coming in with a bit of an injury, I think that puts a bit more gloss on his performance. But look, on the ball, I was getting really frustrated with him in the stand yesterday because the amount of times he was getting the ball and trying to play passes into the midfield or dinks out to the wide areas. I mean, it was just really poor, his playing out the back.
Agreed. I thought that was something that really let us down. Just haphazard, lacking composure, just giving the ball away so cheaply. You even see when it's Romero or like Van der Ven, even when they have clearances, they have clearances with an aim of maybe putting it down the channel for Solanke to chase onto or anything like that. But I feel like when Dragusin, he just kind of hits it straight at a Wolves player or easily gives it away. Defensively, it was okay, but Ange said he wasn't at 100%, so I don't want to be too harsh on him, but I don't think he had a great game, especially on the ball overall.
Archie Gray up next. 6s all round for Archie. Again, I thought it was a pretty good display. Some really nice tackles and blocks in there. I just love the way how calm and composed he is on the ball, and I feel like he's growing by every minute he gets in this Spurs shirt. Yeah, in the last couple of games he has kept an attacker on side, and maybe should be doing doing better in certain moments in game. But I can't give him enough praise for the work that he's doing for the team.
Yeah, he's absolutely putting his all in. He's doing a great job at the moment. It's a fair play to him. It's a very difficult situation. Unfortunately, he did let Larson go for the goal at the end, but look, I'm not going to beat him up too much about it. He's in a tough situation. He's literally playing every single game at the moment, and he's really putting in a shift, and he's doing so well, so credit to him.
Next up is Destiny Udogie. He only lasted, how many minutes was it yesterday? 50 minutes, yeah. Goes off with another hamstring injury that Spurs get in the ranks, and it looked like a bad one because he could barely walk off the pitch yesterday, which was a big source of frustration because I actually thought he started the game pretty well in terms of he was aggressive, he was winning his duels. I don't think you saw too many of those lung-busting Destiny Udogie bulldozing runs, but I thought from a defensive aspect, I think he did pretty well.
Yeah, I thought he was having a decent game. Again, a massive frustration that he's pulled up, and hopefully it's not too bad. But if it's another strain or something, he could be out for another month, and it's the last thing we need is another injury. Obviously, I think if Spence didn't get sent off, maybe Spence would have played today, I think, and maybe Udogie would have gotten a rest, but unfortunately it didn't happen. We played him, and Reguilon had to come on, and look, it's massively frustrating, but let's see how he is.
Yeah, Rodrigo Bentancur up next. 7s all round. Responded really well to the shocking performance that he had at Nottingham Forest. It looks like maybe he needed a bit of a run out and get some minutes in his legs because obviously he's not been playing for a while. 7 games out suspended. Obviously he did play in Europe, but he looked better off for it. He was much more energetic. He was getting about the pitch. He got his goal with a bullet header from a corner, and I just felt like he was the one really holding that midfield together. And yeah, he was really aggressive in the middle of the park, and he was charging us forward as well.
Yeah, I thought much better performance from him, much better on the ball, much more composed, better passing as well. I thought he looked a lot more energetic. He was getting closer to players. He was getting tackles in. Got a really nice goal, really nice header from a corner as well. Not the first time he's done that this season. So fair play to him, but stupid yellow at the end. It's going to cost us, I think, in the next game. So really frustrating. Got that booking, which probably overshadowed what was a pretty good display. Yeah, that was the main source of frustration for me. That yellow card was just so stupid, man. Next up is Yves Bissouma. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. Really frustrating for me, to be honest, because in the first half, I thought he was given the complete runaround from Cunha. He couldn't get close to him by any stretch of the imagination. Second half, he just couldn't seem to impose himself on the game. You're looking for a player of his quality. When Bissouma's on form, and when he's confident when he's getting the ball and he's charging forward and he's snuffing out everything in the middle of the park. And I just felt like he had no sort of authority in the game. Yeah, it was a bit of a nothing performance from him. He kind of was anonymous on the ball, off the ball. Didn't really impose himself as much as someone like Bentancur was doing. I forget to. I kind of don't even remember anything he did in the game at all, like in terms of tackles made or anything good on the ball as well. It was just a very anonymous performance and deservedly taken off when Sarr came on.
Decky, Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. It's my man of the match yesterday. I thought he was the one really looking to push Wolves and really push their back line. He was getting the ball. He was hard to deal with. Brilliant assist. Rounded the keeper as well. Maybe should have scored from that situation. But yeah, he was a constant thorn in Wolves' side, and he was the only one with that real bit of quality to hurt that Wolves back line.
Yeah. I think he started the game quite slowly. I was like, oh God, he's lacking in energy again. But it's something that kind of got activated in him after 20 minutes, where he just decided, I'm going to activate that third lung of his, and he just started absolutely causing Wolves so many problems. Flirting onto the wing, coming inside. Obviously, he was involved in the winning of the penalty. He was involved in with assisting the second goal as well, with a brilliant piece of individual skill to get past 2 Wolves player and then had the composure to pull it back to Johnson. Brilliant move from him. And I thought in the second half he was probably the most likely to try and kill the game off. He'll be a bit annoyed he didn't maybe get a better contact on that shot when it went past Jose Sarr. Wasn't enough power on his right foot. He also put in a brilliant ball for Sarr right at the end, who could have got the winner, but unfortunately put it wide. So he was obviously trying his best. He was non-stop energy. I did think he was doing a really good job, despite the fact I think he looked a bit more fatigued than he usually is, even though that was the case. I think he just pulled something out of the bag. That's just the quality he has. But yeah, I thought it was a really good display from him overall.
Brennan Johnson, 6s all round for Brennan. Obviously gets a goal with a really nice finish. He wins the penalty as well, that obviously Son missed from. And as well, I actually think that he was dropping back on the right wing and helping out defensively with a few really important tackles for us. But yeah, I thought it was okay from Brennan.
Yeah, look, he won a penalty. He got the goal. He caused a few problems. Obviously went off on the hour, but that's what I think. That's kind of Brennan's role in the team. He doesn't get too involved a lot of times. So a lot of the times he's quiet, but in key moments he does turn up, and he arrives in the right positions to score. He arrives in the right positions to cause Wolves problems. I don't think, again, it wasn't like an all action display where he was brilliant overall, but just key moments he turned up and was effective, and that's kind of what Brennan does. So look, got a 6 out of 10 for me, but nice goal.
Sonny up next. 4s all round for Sonny. Unfortunately, it was another poor performance, which makes it 3 out of his last 3, which haven't been good enough. And I feel like he's just forcing things at the moment. Wrong decision making, clearly lacking in some sort of confidence as well at the moment. And obviously he missed the penalty, which could have been decisive for us. So poor performance.
Yeah, I mean he's struggling for form or confidence. Clearly he's maybe trying to make up for it in other aspects, because you can see he's trying too hard in some occasions. He's making the wrong decisions, doesn't pass it when he should be passing it, taking shots from positions where there are players in better positions. The missed penalty, he didn't look confident stepping up to take that penalty, which is very, very much unlike Sonny. And he really struggled to really impact the game in the final third. And I thought a lot of the time as well, quite sloppy on the ball, giving the ball away where he shouldn't be. Just a really bad display overall from Sonny, and don't like to see it.
And Dom Solanke, the last of the starting 11. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. Again, tireless work from Big Dom. I felt like, particularly in the second half, when we got that second win when Sarr and the subs came on, I thought he did a lot of good work charging the team forward. It looked like he was on a one-man mission at times. He was fairly quiet in the first half, but I felt like he really came alive in the last half an hour.
Yeah, he did. There were a couple of occasions where, with a bit more confidence or a bit more, I don't know, whether killer instinct, he could go straight towards goal and get shots off. But sometimes feel like he's so unselfish when he's on the ball. He doesn't quite do that enough, like he did maybe against Man United for that goal in the Carabao Cup. But I think he does so much great work off the ball. He nearly got a brilliant assist for Decky, where he holds off 2 players and plays Decky through on goal, who probably should have done better with his finish. That was a great moment for him. But again, not enough goal mouth action for me. Should be getting in and around the penalty area a bit more, inches away from Werner's cross and getting himself a goal, which was a shame. But I think Good, but maybe a bit too quiet on some occasions.
Substitutes. Sergio Reguilon came on after 50 minutes for Destiny.
Who?
Sergio Reguilon. I couldn't believe it when I saw him warming up, even though we had pretty much no choice. But yeah, I don't think it was terrible. I don't think it was great. It was pretty much a non-event, really.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of occasions he got forward, but no real quality on the final delivery. Defensively, I mean, did okay, I guess. I think we contained Wolves fairly well overall, but that was the situation. Yeah, a bit of a nothing. I mean, watching it, I wasn't thinking, why hasn't Ange played him more? I wasn't that impressed, but I don't think he did too much wrong either overall.
Pape, 7s all round for Pape. He was really good, energetic, provided us legs in the middle of the park, which we desperately needed at the time. And he was just charging us forward. He had our best chance of the game. Probably should have put it in the back of the net. But yeah, he was energetic and he was, provided some bits of quality as well.
Yeah, I think Sarr added that a real bit of energy we needed. We were flagging at that point. I think we needed a boost of energy. I think Sarr really brought that, especially in the game state that was in. We were sitting back a bit too much and we needed to get up the pitch, and he was just allowing us to be very direct with his running style and running into space and playing with the likes of Solanke and Kulusevski as well for quite a lot of it. So, I think a really good cameo from Sarr.
Maddison up next, 5s all round. Just not too much bits of quality of note, to be honest. He comes on, he sees quite a bit of the ball and he's probing to do something, but little amounts of quality, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think there was some quality there in terms of he played some really nice passes out to Werner. Unfortunately, Werner a lot of the time wasted them. I think Maddison, there was one point where there was actually a really good piece of play in that second half, some really good football being played, which he was at the heart of, but unfortunately the move ended with him with a shot over the bar with his left foot. And look, he had 25 minutes. In the game state wasn't maybe didn't suit him as much as maybe it suited Sarr, but you still expect him to do more when he's given about half an hour.
Timo Werner, Sim gives him a 3, I gave him a 5. Pretty poor, to be honest, but I did think he was getting the ball and asking a few questions of the Wolves' defence as he was able to run at them, as Sonny wasn't really able to do that. He did put in a really good cross in for Dom Solanke, where maybe he should have got on the end of it. And obviously he has his classic Timo Werner run the ball out the pitch moment. But yeah, look, all in all, it was really, really frustrating for Timo.
Yeah, he had one good moment where he put a good cross face to goal, which is good, but I think other than that, he was massively poor, miscontrolling the ball, running the ball out of play, being offside when he shouldn't be offside. Very frustrating cameo from Timo Werner. Really, really bad, and really hindered us a lot in the last 20 minutes. Apart from obviously that one moment where he did put in a good ball, I'll give him credit for that. Probably why he gets to 3 and not lower. But I thought other than that, massively frustrated.
And last but not least, Ange Postecoglou, 5s all round, still unable to get that win, particularly at home. I think it's our worst run at home since 2008, since that 2 points from 8 game season. Our worst points per game since before Christian Gross. I think it's just not good by any stretch of the imagination. And yeah, I think it was slightly better in terms of performance level yesterday, but still unable to get those 3 points on the board. I just feel like he should be playing players that are a bit more fresher, and maybe get us to be able to last longer. But look, the changes that he did make did impact the game in a positive way, but we still ended up conceded in the last few minutes of the game. So he needs to be doing better.
Look, I think we should have won the game. Obviously, we didn't, and the fact we didn't kill the game, ultimately he takes responsibility, especially when we're on the run of results that we are on. But I think he made change at the right time. I think we did, in terms of the first half, we went 1-0 down and we responded really well to it. We turned it around, and that's the belief that he's instilled in the team. That's pretty positive. Obviously, Son, take him off after an hour. He brought on Sarr, Maddison and Werner. I did think those changes really positively impacted the game, but we couldn't kill it off, and we didn't. And was it an instruction from him to sit back like we did, or was it the players just taking it upon themselves to do that, or was it natural? Was it Wolves forcing us back with how they were finishing the game? Either way, we tried to see out the game in a different way and didn't, and he still failed. I don't really blame him for that. I think, look, at the end of the day, we should have won. We didn't win. I don't think it's ultimately Ange's. I don't put the blame necessarily on Ange why we didn't win, But where we are, at the moment, he's got to take some responsibility for that, unfortunately, and that's the reality of the situation. But I don't see much changing with if he makes different changes. I think he managed it okay, but look, we didn't get the win, and he's still got to take responsibility for the result.
All right, so that is our player ratings for the 2-2 draw. Let's go to a members chat. Kong108 says, disappointing. Window important, but we know Levy. Yes, we most definitely do know Levy.
Let's. I want to put a poll in the chat. Let me just see where the fans are at the moment. We did this poll, Ange in or Ange out. We did it. Well, I can't remember how long ago now. 3 weeks ago. It was about 60. I think last time we did it, it was 60%.
I think it was after the Bournemouth game.
It was 60% Ange in, 40 Ange out. So let's see if it's changed or not. So get voting, people. Get in the polls. Get your votes in.
It seems still very split. It's interesting. It's interesting because, like, me and Sim have been having these debates for a good few weeks now. And
so you would sack him today?
Would I sack him today? I probably would, yeah. I probably would.
What, interim? Put an interim in.
Oh, well, you need a plan. You need a plan in place. And I would want Spurs to have a plan in place if they were going to sack him. If there's a plan, there has to be a plan. Surely, with the run of results that we're on and what we've seen since pretty much the first 10 games, there should be a plan in place. There should be making feelers at the moment. There has to be a plan. If there's no plan, then there's no point. But the club should always have a plan.
Okay. I just don't think it makes any sense to sack him.
Yeah, look, I said that weeks and weeks ago, but as the weeks progress and the performances and the results don't get any better, I mean, like I said, he's running out of excuses.
It was obvious they weren't going to get better as the injury crisis isn't improving. They weren't going to get much better.
Yeah, but you still expect us to pick up more points than we do.
It's difficult. This is the Premier League. It's unforgiving. It's very difficult. At the moment, just under 200 people voted, 52% Ange out, 48% Ange in.
The tide is turning.
Get your votes in, people. I want to say, we've got 950 people in the chat right now. I want to see everyone voting. Everyone get your votes in. But yeah, tide, look.
But what I was saying is that, we've been having these debates for weeks now. Mm-hmm. And it feels like in every debate that we have, the comment section is just completely split on this.
Yeah, I think the reality is, like I said it after Bournemouth, and I can't then not say I'm only saying this because I don't want to backtrack, but I said after Bournemouth there's going to be a lot of pain over this next month because clearly this injury crisis is terrible and it's going to be very hard to turn this run of form around while we have this level, right? And I'm seeing here the injury crisis hasn't improved, and subsequently the results haven't improved. But it's no surprise to me. Like I was always going to give it time to turn it around and wait for players to come back. That's kind of what we have to wait for.
Do you think the club will do that though?
I think they'll be stupid not to, because I don't think they.
But do you think they will?
I don't know. I can't. Do I think they will? I think they probably will.
I think it massively stems on that semi-final. I think if we get battered to Liverpool next week, I do think he's going to go.
I don't know. Look, the reality is, cup runs don't end in a. I mean, sorry, you can't. We're still in like all the competitions. Europa League has still got a big opportunity there. He's still in the FA Cup. Like, I just don't see the point in not giving him those cup runs. I think we're better off giving it to him than a new manager. That's just my opinion.
But what if we can get a really good? What if we can? I know you're saying it's hard and we probably won't be able to. But what if we can get an Andoni in? What if we can pay a release clause in his contract or whatever?
I don't see the point in hiring him right now. He also plays a very high intensity style of play. Football. He plays high intensity football, a lot of running, high pressing. Like what
he's doing a lot.
Changes?
He's doing a lot better than Ange with a lesser team.
Yeah, they've got less games. They've also got a decent. Their squad is all squads at the moment. Most squads, especially when you've not got Europe, he's got a lot of options to contend with. He's actually got options to choose from. He's subbing out players. You know, if Evan Nilsson's not playing, he can play Unai. He's got Clive at Semenyo. He's then got Utara. He's got Tavernier. Look, he's doing a brilliant job. I'm not trying to take away anything Andoni's doing at Bournemouth. Brilliant job he's doing. And fantastic, and maybe he does deserve a top 6 job. And maybe if Ange doesn't work out, he should be one considered. I'm just saying, right now, we bring in Andoni in tomorrow. I don't think anything changes in the short term. I think that it's just gonna be the same. Maybe in the long term, can he get more consistent results? I don't know, but maybe Ange could as well. I just don't think much changes right now. If does Andoni win that cup game against Liverpool? I don't think so. I don't think he changes that.
Do you think Ange wins the cup game against Liverpool?
I don't know, probably not, but I don't think Andoni does either.
I think he does a better job over the long term. Look, I think he does.
Maybe,
I think he's a better manager.
Maybe, I don't know. Look, there's cases for it for sure. He's done a brilliant job. He's had a great career so far under Vallecano. He did a brilliant job. He's done a brilliant job at Bournemouth, kept them up last season, and look how he's pushed them on. I'm not trying to discredit him. He could be better than Ange, but I'm just saying right now, if you're thinking he's going to come in and just turn the ship around immediately, and we're not going to still go through this pain, right? Well, with Andoni in charge, I think we will. I think nothing's changing.
But I keep telling you every single stream that we do, it's not just about the short term. It's about the bigger picture.
You're sacking Ange.
But it's about the bigger picture as well.
You're not sacking Ange, but for the bigger picture. I think
but like I said, but even before the injuries, I was coming on here and saying I've got big question marks about Ange.
You weren't ready to sack him.
No, but I am now. Yeah.
Yeah, because of this run of form.
But the form before that comes into it as well.
If we were on the same form right now as we were before the injury crisis, you wouldn't be saying this. That's what I'm saying.
would.
I don't think you would be.
I think I would.
No, you wouldn't be. If we were in that conversation for Europe,
but I don't think we would be because the games got harder. We lose easy games.
Yes, but we win one, we lose one, but whatever. But we would still be winning more games than we are now. And all, as I said, just takes a few wins. And
we're a few points from 15th. Like, how bad?
Also, a few points from 5th. Like, we're not far from that as well. Like, that's just the nature of the league.
We're much further away from 5th than we are from 15th. I'll tell you that.
It's very tight, and a few more wins, we would have been right in the mix of where all these other teams are. We've dropped off like a stone, but I don't think if we were on the same form as we were before the injury, if we were getting the similar kind of results before the injury crisis during it, you wouldn't be saying Ange. I know it for a fact.
We're 7 points from Man City, and Man City have won 1 in their last 8 games.
Yeah, they've also had an injury crisis, and we have as well.
But they're 5th in the league, and we're 7 points behind them in 11th.
Okay.
And we're 4 points from Crystal Palace in 15th.
They've turned their form around as well.
Like, how bad does it have to get?
I just think it's the circumstances we're in at the moment. I don't see another manager coming in and turning it around with the circumstances we're in, especially someone like Iraola. Because Iraola is in terms of how much he demands from the team, is no different to Ange when it comes to his running style. Is he going to get?
So you're saying every attacking, high pressing manager is the same?
They're not all the same, but in terms of the level of running you're going to have to do, and in terms of how hard you have to run, I mean, I don't see him asking the players to run less than Ange's.
So why do Bournemouth not get these mad injury crises that we get?
Don't know. Maybe their medical team's better. Maybe they're rotating more. Maybe they've got less games, which they do. Maybe that's why.
We got it last year and we never had Europe.
We got it last year, but that all happened in like one game, didn't it? I don't know.
It didn't happen in one game. We got 2 players suspended and 2 players injured in one game.
Yeah.
That wasn't the whole injury crisis, though, was it? That wasn't the whole extent of it.
But Maddison wasn't a hamstring. That was an ankle injury, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember the last season.
Van der Ven got 2 hamstrings last season.
Yeah, and maybe that's something to do with Van der Ven's history because we signed him and he had some hamstring problems before we signed him. So maybe that's something to do with the recruitment. Like, should we have noticed that? I'm not saying that means we shouldn't have signed him, but does that mean we should have made sure we got adequate cover because if he breaks down, we're going to need him? Like, so I feel like Van der Ven's one of those defenders, especially at 22. Not saying he's on the level of Ledley King, but with Ledley, he had these injury problems, but he was so good. He was just so valuable when he was fit. You just wanted to play him. I feel like Van der Ven is a bit like that, but we need good cover for him as well, because clearly his hamstrings are not gonna go away. I don't think he's there, but we need.
Bloody Ben Davies is getting when did Ben Davies ever got a hamstring injury before?
Don't know.
It's like,
Probably never.
Literally. But anyway, let's move on. Let's see let's look at the poll actually. 53% saying Ange in, so still swaying towards Yusim, and 47% saying Ange out. A few Arsenal fans.
Is Sammy Ange in or Ange out? Is that what he's a bastard?
Majority of Arsenal and Chelsea fans right now are all Ange in.
Of course they are. We were all Arteta in when they were going through their thing as well.
Yeah, that's also true.
Come on, keep voting. Keep voting. It's been up for 10 minutes. There's now just under 400 people voting at the moment. And as you say, 53% Ange in, 47 Ange out. Yep, so there you go at the moment. But I want it to get to like... let's get to like 700-800 votes. I want it to get really high. Everyone who's not voted, there's nearly 1,000 people in the chat. Everyone who's not voted, go and vote. If you, what do they say? If you don't vote, you can't complain about the outcome.
Exactly.
So, if you want Ange out and you don't vote, you can't complain if he stays. Same with if you're Ange in and he gets sacked and you haven't voted, it's your fault. Ange says he has an election every week. This is the election, the Ange election. Come on, vote.
Let's go and see what 5 things we did learn from the game. Number 1 will be Porro improvement.
Yeah, and I think he had his best game for a while. It was no surprise to me. He had a break against on midweek where he hasn't really been able to have one for a while. And I think he had his best performance probably in a couple of months in this game. I thought defensively much better. Dealt with Aït-Nouri, I think, quite well, considering he also had to deal with an inside forward. And I think, obviously, he had offensively as well. 2 key passes, completed 3 of his 4 crosses, made 1 tackle, 2 interceptions, won 3 of his 5 duels as well. So I think a much better display from Porro. Wasn't perfect, but definitely signs of improvement.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I thought, it was all right. It was better than it has been, but what it has been before this was pretty shocking, to be fair. So it was good to see him defend his back post a bit better. It was good to see him provide those corners were of real quality for Pedro Porro yesterday. Obviously, the one that we scored, and there were a couple of other ones in there as well. But good to see Pedro with an improved performance. But the games aren't going to stop for him because with the doggy being out, it's going to be hard for him because him and Spence, we don't know how long a doggy's going to be out for, but him and Spence are going to be put to the test now, aren't they?
Yeah. Obviously, there's rumours we're looking for a left back in Jan, but I don't know if they'll be in time for the next run of games. So, looks like Spence or maybe even Reguilon might be getting a run out.
Number 2 is Bentancur's costly booking.
Yeah, and it's very frustrating because Bentancur was having a much better game in this one compared to his performance against Forest. Obviously, he's been missing for so long. It was really great to have him back, but after his performance against Forest, people were wondering what kind of Bentancur have we got back. But I thought this was a much better game from him. Won 4 of his 5 aerial duels, won 3 ground duels, 2 tackles, 3 clearances, got his goal as well with a really good header, and was generally much better on the ball than he was in the Forest game, where I thought he was very sloppy and just haphazard. But that late booking right at the end of the game means he will be missing for the Newcastle game. Obviously, it is only 1 game, but that Newcastle game is so important at home in a game where, with the pressure piling on the manager, any kind of way we can get results is going to be crucial. And obviously, we've got a better chance when he's in this kind of form, playing in that kind of way. So it's very frustrating. He's picked up another booking and going to be ruled out for the game. Yeah,
I was really frustrated with him after the Forest game because I just thought he weren't at the races at all. And after being out for so long, you'd expect him just to come in, hit the ground running after Ange said, he was working really hard in training really well, blah, blah, blah. And he just put in a disaster class. So it was good to see him respond in that manner. But then he's going to serve another suspension. Like, how stupid can you be after being out for 7 games suspended? You literally just got to hold off for 1 more minute and you get that booking, and he's going to be out for the Newcastle game, which is going to be a big loss for us. So, Bentancur, good performance, but stupid moment at the end that's going to really cost us, or going to cost us in the next game anyway. But next 3 is Plan B.
Yeah, and did Ange implement a Plan B yesterday, or was there other factors relating to why we played in a very different way, I think, to how we usually play? We had only 48 8% possession over the game, 46% as well in the first half, which is only the fourth time this season that we've had less than 50% possession. But despite that, we did create 5 big chances to Wolves 1, 2.25 XG, compared to Wolves' 0.7, which is the lowest we've conceded this season in terms of XG. We were definitely sitting a lot deeper in that second half as well than we usually do, which is a lot of fans have been calling for Tottenham to sit a bit deeper, but obviously we did end up conceding at the end. Decky said, though, after the game, Spurs were too focused on protecting the lead at the end, and it's not who we are and it's not how we usually approach the game. So did Ange implement a plan B yesterday, or were there other factors as to why we did play a different style yesterday?
In my opinion, I think it was other factors. I think it would have been the team naturally doing that to try and hold on to the lead. And I don't think Decky says that if it's the manager's instruction. So I do think it's other kind of aspects coming into it. And it's also, at that time, Wolves were really looking to dominate the possession as well. So I don't think it was instruction. I just think it was a circumstance in the game.
But was it the right thing to do?
Was it the right thing to do? I don't know if it was the right thing to do. Obviously not, because we didn't win the game and we conceded in the last minute. But yeah, the right thing to do was to get the ball in the back of the net and close off that game.
Let me know in the comments, didn't Ange implement a plan B yesterday, or was it other factors? It's interesting to know what people's thoughts are, considering as well a lot of the criticism he gets for not changing and stuff like that, and all of a sudden we do play in a different way.
But do you think that was him implementing it?
Was it him implementing it? I think a lot of it was us reacting to the game state in terms of Wolves were doing a lot better job keeping the ball than probably we expected. So I think it was just natural that the fact that they were keeping the ball well, we were doing our job properly defensively, in my opinion, which I think that was in general what we were doing. I think it was a lot to do with the coaching, but I think definitely in the way we ended the game, we probably overcompensated and it was a bit too much and a bit too deep, and that's maybe we just allowed Wolves onto us a bit too much than we would like. I think for most of the game, I think we kept Wolves at an arm's length, and that was probably the plan. But I think I think in the last 10 minutes, I think we allowed Wolves too much kind of encouragement nearer to our box, and that probably wasn't the tactic.
And you switch off once and it's costly.
And that's what happened, yeah.
Number 4 is Decky output soaring.
Yeah, and with his assist yesterday, it's now 9 goal contributions and 17 league starts this season, and it's especially in the last 7 games, he's now got 6 goal contributions in his last 7 games. So he's really starting to get consistency when it comes to output, and was a brilliant assist for the goal yesterday. But in general, had 4 key passes, 2 big chances created as well, 1 assist. Did miss that chance though near the end to seal the game. That could have been what really got us the win. Unfortunately, didn't happen. But in terms of his output, at the beginning of the season he had great performances but maybe inconsistent output, but now the output's really soaring.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I feel like over the last 5 or 6 games he's actually had a couple of off games in there, but the output still is carrying on. Whereas in the earlier stages of the season he was having probably more consistent performance level without really the output. So I think Decky has just been incredible for us this season. It's very rare he has an off game. I think probably 2 or 3 times this whole season he hasn't been at the levels where we've seen him this season. So unbelievable player, unbelievable talent, and he keeps growing and adding different things to his game in terms of goal contributions. And this was one of the biggest criticisms I've had for him, even this season, where he performs unbelievably well, puts so much in for the team, but doesn't get the goal contributions that his performance deserves. But now he's adding that.
Yeah, exactly.
And the 5th and final takeaway is a bad end to a bad year.
Yeah, so we did end up with, obviously, with a draw yesterday, which was not the result we all wanted. And it meant that Spurs ended the calendar year on 51 points, which is our lowest calendar year since 2008, which, even if we would have won yesterday, still would have been the case. But yeah, and just 2024, especially second half of last season, how we ended it and how we've ended this first half of this season as well. Really, really bad, unfortunately. No getting away from that.
Yep. We are in the trenches, people. We are in the trenches. 2024 has been shocking. So I'm happy to see the back of the year. Well, Happy New Year to everyone out there. Looking for a bigger and better 2025. But that is the 5 takeaways. Those are the 5 things we did learn from the 2-2 draw with Wolves. Let's get into a couple of super chats. Just we move on. John Lee says, Sim, even Son had a hamstring injury earlier this season.
Yes.
It's true, like the number of hamstring injuries we've had this season is actually shocking.
Yeah, you got Van de Ven,
Davis, Son,
Udogie. Udogie and Odebear.
Yeah.
5. And Richarlison.
And Richarlison, yeah.
And Richarlison,
it's madness.
6 hamstring injuries.
It's mad. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Whose fault is that? I don't know. It's hard to say whose fault it is. I mean, you could say it's Ange's. Maybe it is. I don't know. I need to see real hard evidence that it's definitely down to him. But I mean, logically, you could definitely say, the way he plays and the how hard he makes them work and the intensity. Is it causing the injuries? I mean, there's probably a case for it. I mean,
it could be due to training as well, not just with the way we play.
I mean, when Liverpool played under Klopp, were they training any less intensely? Well, I mean, like when he's not the first manager to get to play a high intensity way of playing and all this kind of stuff. Are these players less robust? Are these players more susceptible to injuries than one we have? Or is it Ange's just I've got unrealistic expectations of what we can do with them? It's hard to really know what the truth is, but the reality is it can't be a coincidence we're getting all these injuries. I don't think it is a coincidence. There's clearly something we're doing wrong. But is it Ange's fault? That's the real question, and I just don't know.
The buck's always going to stop with him, isn't it? He's the manager.
Well, yeah, with results it will, but when it comes to injuries, I don't think, can you put it all down to him? I don't know.
We've always got injuries. Everyone's always going to get injuries, but the volume of the injuries, since Ange's come in has just been nuts.
Yeah. But as well, we've gone from one of the lowest running teams in the league to the highest. So is that always going to come with a recalibration? Is that what we're seeing? Or is that, is that something that will get better over time? Or is that something that
doesn't seem like it?
I mean, it doesn't seem like it now, but I remember early on in Klopp's tenure at Liverpool, they were getting a lot of injuries as well, and it got better. So I don't know if it's something that is always is always going to happen, and if that's the case, then clearly his methods that is not suitable for what we're trying to do, because we can't afford to have this level of injuries all the time. Or is it something that once players get more robust and stuff like that it will subside, and once we are able to rotate players and stuff like that, and that eases the burden on some of them, they won't have to always be playing in the red like they are now? I don't know. I don't know what the real answer is to that question, in all honesty. It might be down to Ange. It might be. I can't sit here and say it's definitely not, because it might be.
Jory, member for 46 months, says Ange Ball intense style has landed us in this fatigue injury crisis. Continue with Ange, the downward spiral will continue. He's not changing, so...
Yesterday, was that because, he keeps playing high intensity and all this kind of stuff? We definitely dropped back a bit yesterday. You could say maybe it wasn't down to him, but that definitely happened yesterday. I think it was changed. Something was definitely changed. We had less possession. I don't think we were as intense as we usually are. We weren't pressing as high, especially in the second half anyway. We weren't. So, I don't know. As I say, you could say that has happened, but do we want a manager who doesn't play that way? Is that what we want? We don't want to play high intensity football. We don't want to play with high pressing and that kind of stuff. Is that what we want? Is that what we're saying?
I think I don't know. I just feel like the way that Ange plays is just, it's different to other high intensity managers as well. It's not exactly the same.
He wants to be the most intense, don't get me wrong, but still, high intensity is still something that a lot of managers do.
No other managers seem to go through the same thing as he does in terms of picking up these crazy amounts of hamstring injuries. I've never seen it with any club.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember Newcastle last season. They played a high intensity. They had a load of injuries last season once they added European football in and stuff, and they really suffered for it.
Actually, Eddie Howe changes it up though, doesn't he? When he comes into big games, he sits low block and he drops deep and.
But it didn't help him last season, did it?
Last season, no.
I'm saying, but
last season it seems like it was a one-off for them. For us, we've had it 2 years in a row.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, look, he still finished 5th though, didn't he, last season? I don't know.
Yeah. This one says, Arsenal fan here, and I want Ange to stay forever.
Yeah.
And Michael Hellman, big up Michael, says, let's try process of elimination with a new medical staff and some new signings and see what happens. Hashtag come on you Spurs. Happy New Year to this great community. And Happy New Year to you, Michael. Thank you for the super chat.
Quick stop in to the poll. 23 minutes gone. 576 votes. 55% Anjin. 45% Ange out. So... still, I mean, last time we did it was 60%. First time we did it was 65%.
It's going down by 5% every time.
I'm not surprised because there's not going to be more Anjin with the results not
But
changing.
you were surprised the first time we did it that it was predominantly Anjin.
Yeah, I was because the reality is the Ange out people are going to be louder than the Ange in people. Why would Ange in people be loud right now? There's no reason to be. But obviously, if you still got that belief, right, you're still going to say you're Ange in, but you're not going to, after we have a result yesterday, you're not going to say, I fully believe in Ange after we drew with home.
Should do.
You're not going to say it.
If you fully believe in him, you should say it.
No, but it's not that you're not going to say it after that result because it's something to be happy about, right? After a draw, we know it's a bad result. We know when we're losing games, we know they're not good results. But I'm still willing to stick with that pain and process. But I'm not going to be shouting, stick with Ange tonight. Like
you do it every stream.
No, not necessarily. Because I'm giving my opinion. But you know what? After a loss, right, you got these guys, sack Ange tonight. You're shouting it. You're shouting from the rooftops. You're going all in because you feel like you're justified in your opinion after that result, right? I'm not gonna be you're not gonna be making a video after a result like saying save Ange tonight. Like that's not how it's not how it works. So that's why you're getting more of these voices when you get bad results. But it doesn't mean they're the majority. They're just louder.
Guido de Court says, Sim, you'll turn eventually.
I'll turn eventually. Depends how the results go. I'm not going to sit and say I'm never going to be Ange out. It all depends on context. I'm just saying the context right now. I'm not even saying I'm certain he's 100% the guy and he's 100% going to bring glory back to this club. I think clearly the jury's out on that. I'm just going with the context of the situation right now, and I think given the context, it doesn't really make. I just don't see any upside to sacking him. I don't see things improving. I think we would have been in a fine situation if the circumstances were different. I don't think a lot of these circumstances are out of his control. Maybe you could argue some of them are in his control, but I think that's up for debate. I don't think there's any factual basis to that. There's only opinions and theories. So I just don't see much upside to sacking him.
All right, let's move on and let's see how the internet did react to the game yesterday. I'm going to start off with Brock at Stunning Spurs, and he says he did some research on our results, so you all don't have to. It was painful, but it's highly illuminating. Ange Postecoglou's system is heavily dependent on the defence stabilising the team and allowing us to sustain pressure. The fullbacks inverting properly are also paramount to the system's success. Ange Postecoglou has managed 68 games for Tottenham, and he has had the first choice back five: Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven and Doggy for 25 of those matches. Only 30% of all matches.
Wow, so low.
In the 25 matches with our first choice back five, 14 wins, 5 draws, 6 losses for 47 points, 1.88 points per game. In the 43 matches without our first choice back five, 19 wins, 6 draws, 18 losses for 63 points, 1.47 points per game. This season alone, Ange has only been able to start the back five, first choice back 5 in 8 out of 27 matches, only 30% of all matches. He's clearly been dealt a bad hand with injuries and should be afforded time to reshape the squad again.
I think that's a fair point. I think that's a good analysis, in my opinion. Albeit, you could argue every team has injuries, and how often are you ever going to get your first choice back five in there, and you should be able to. But maybe that suggests that we should be doing a lot better when it comes to recruiting players who can fill in for injured players, and maybe that's a big problem. Maybe that's then something we definitely need to focus on, because right now maybe the players stepping in are not require quality to play this system. I think that's also a very good point as well. But I think it shows yes, and 1.88 is not perfect. I'm not saying that's a top team, but as I say, if we had 1.8 throughout this whole season, right, we would be in third position right now. So that's how tight the league is. So I think. And no one would be saying Ange out if that was the case, but I think it's a good analysis. It shows how big of a drop off there is when at the moment we're having injuries like we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's 25 matches, so it is quite significant. And with 14 wins, 6 losses is also significant. But I believe, like, obviously I don't know for a fact, but I believe that the injuries do happen because of I don't know what it is, but I do believe that Ange has got something to do with it.
Maybe. I mean, would we have no injuries under a new manager? I don't know.
Look, that's going overboard. Like, no injuries. Of course, you're going to have injuries, but the level of injuries is just too much.
Yeah, hamstring injuries, it can't be a coincidence. But whether it's purely down to him, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Anyone can say for sure, but it might be.
Seb Martin says, "When I tell you I lost my head," and this was this was Timo Werner running it out of play yesterday.
Yeah,
once again.
Every game he runs it out of play. At least once, and yeah, that was very frustrating as well. God, as well. In the 90, like, you need someone to, like, you're trying to pull something out of the bag. You just got someone running out of play in bloody stoppage time. So frustrating.
Next up's Blue Deer saying the seats are almost full, and look at this, all our injured players front row yesterday.
Yeah, nearly got a squad full of injured players. Oh, one thing we didn't mention is Yang Min Hyuk's going to be available now from the next game.
Yeah, that's true. Yang Min Hyuk
watching on. Hopefully, look, I'm not expecting him to come in and make an impact, but another body can't harm it, can't hurt.
Yeah. Do you see him playing any part in the Newcastle game?
Do I see him playing any part in the Newcastle game? I mean, he'll probably be on the bench considering our injuries, to be honest. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes on if we're chasing the game or whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised if he plays a small part. Well, I guess depends. He maybe Ange looks him in training and thinks actually he's not ready at all and just won't play him. But I think he'll probably have to be on the bench. I don't think we have a choice.
He should start the Tamworth game.
Yeah.
Dahlia says them three, and this is Sonny, Huang, and Yang, all talking after the game yesterday.
Yeah, Yang looks a bit left out, to be honest. I think the big boys are talking over there. But yeah, hopefully Yang can start feeling part of it.
Tadarius do love how our players comfort their captain. The players support each other through thick and thin, which fans could definitely learn from them.
Is that after his missed penalty?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look. Obviously, I think that's just after we scored, actually. So he missed the penalty, but then it was just going into half time. Yeah, it must be going into half time because he was still on. So yeah, look, of course they're going to try and comfort him after the penalty. They're not going to lay into him. They know that if it was the opposite way around, he would do the same. So no surprise to me.
Next one is the embrace. Huang and Sonny embrace at the end of the game. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, lovely moment after the game for them.
Carly on you Spurs says, walking without crutches. Save us, Vicario. The crutches are off.
Yeah, maybe he's getting closer. Let's
well,
hope.
He is getting closer to March, yeah.
Let's
as the days go by.
Hopefully he can surprise us. But he's still got a big boot on, you can see on his left foot there.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to see if he's put his crutches down or something, or he's just not got any. Yeah.
This is Mari7 showing us Huang Hee-chan doing Son dirty yesterday.
So where is
no
he?
No way to treat your national hero. He's there next to Dragoshin.
Oh, there you go, left. Yeah, you can see. Go left.
Did him completely dirty, Huang.
Well, he was absolutely spot on, wasn't he? Shame.
Next one saying, this is the same one about the players comforting Sonny. Spurs Watch saying 5 home league matches without a win, worst run since 2008, and that's a draw. A loss to Ipswich, a draw to Fulham, a loss to Chelsea, loss to Liverpool, and a draw to Wolves.
Yeah, it's obviously not good enough. We know that. And we have to turn it around. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, looking at that, it's not great. It's not great at all.
And just before that Ipswich game, the last win was Aston Villa, and after that, it said the stadium's a fortress.
He did. Fortress has been broken down. Not quite Fort Knox.
Cody Mack says part of Maddison clapping back at fans is the culture the manager sets. Multiple times he's had public altercations with fans. He's had a few digs at us in interviews as well. He's been way more disrespectful of us fans than Conte, in my opinion. But I'm told Conte hated us. Does Ange?
I mean, I think he's really way too much into that. I mean, is he based in what Ange said after the City game? Is that last year? Is that what that's what he's insinuating? I mean,
before the City game, yeah.
Before the City game, I mean,
well, there was also that altercation he had with a fan a lot earlier than that. I can't remember which game it was at, but it was in the stands, wasn't it?
That was the City game.
Was it a City game?
Last season.
Oh yeah, it was a City game, wasn't it? Did it not happen again before that as well?
What happened to Bournemouth?
No, there was those two. Wasn't there a moment last season as well before the City game where he had an altercation with a fan?
I think I just remember the one in the City game. Look, I don't think what's Ange really done to say he hates us. I mean, he's been disrespectful. I mean, I think that's a bit of a stretch, in my opinion. I don't think he's done really much. So yeah, he's clapped back at a couple of fans who's been shouting abuse at him in the stands, but the abuse is completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Ange to be disrespectful, to be honest.
Alex THFC says, this is our vice captain. Holy fuck, just liquidate the club. So this was last night. Obviously, we all saw we'll see pictures of it in a minute, but Maddison and Brennan Johnson at the darts last night. And Spursy News commented on it saying, you taking the piss, the form we're in, and you go to the darts, unacceptable. And then Madders replies saying, shut up, you Wally, with a laughing emoji. I'm sure it's after a few beers as well.
He's taking it lightheartedly, I think.
And I just, first of all, do I think that they should be... look, they've got their own lives. They can do what they want after the game. But I just don't think he should be replying to anything on social media like that. There's just no need for it.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't reply. I don't have a massive issue with it, but he probably shouldn't. It's not a good look. I think he's obviously clearly, it's a light-hearted joke. I don't think he's angrily saying, shut up! He's saying, shut up, you Ollie. Like, get on, like basically just concentrate on your own.
Yeah, but you know what reaction it's going to bring.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stupid thing to say, but I don't think it's that big of an issue. I think, actually, it's not a good thing, but look, I think these players at the moment, they need to take their mind off Spurs for a couple of days. I think that'll help. I really do. I think they're mentally fatigued and we're in a rut at the moment, and they just need some sort of refresh. And I think going to the darts, just enjoying yourself for a couple of days. As Ange said, spend your time with a bit of family for a bit. Like, just get out of this. At the moment, it's game and game and game and game, and it's not helping things right now. The how intense and we're concentrating so much on each game, and we're trying to get these points. And I think the players are trying as hard as they can, to be honest. But they just need. I think maybe they need a bit of a mental refresh as much as a physical one. And I think go to the darts, do that. I think for me, I think they need to do that.
What I didn't like, though, yesterday, I was actually speaking to someone that was in the players' lounge yesterday after the game. And they were telling me, like, literally straight after the game, players are coming into this lounge and they're just, like, so happy, like, laughing and joking. And, it doesn't look like the result or the performance, like, seemed to affect them whatsoever. And two of those players I'm going to talk about is... Brennan Johnson and Bentancur, and particularly Bentancur, that gets that booking after a 7-match ban. To get that booking and a few minutes later you're laughing and joking coming into a thing, it just doesn't sit right with me. I'm not saying the players shouldn't laugh and joke after the game, but
so you weren't there.
But the emotions should be raw.
You're getting it second hand, right?
Yeah, obviously I wasn't there. Yeah, I was with you.
I'm saying you're getting it second hand, this information. So, who knows what he perceived, what he actually saw, and what he's saying. Look, maybe they were laughing, joking. Maybe someone said a joke and he laughed. I don't know the situation, but I think second-hand information like that, there's a lot of Chinese whispers, I think, all the time. But he might have been, and maybe, I don't know what the situation is, but maybe he was really down, and then someone tried to cheer him up, and all of a sudden you saw him laughing. But doesn't mean that result doesn't affect them or anything. Yeah,
it's just not a good look, though, is it? And like when you see the fans, how frustrated they are, and the players just laughing and joking, it just I'm not saying that they don't care, but optically it just doesn't look good.
Again, but you as well, you're taking the second-hand information. You have to trust that he's definitely saw what he saw and all this kind of thing. I don't know.
Tottenham Hotspur 1882_Tottenham says, I've realised I'm in the minority, fed up with the game, disappointed with the result, leave on the final whistle and see loads of fans smiling, drinking and dancing to a band. Levy has us all in the palm of his hand.
I think everyone's just, it's New Year's kind of, it's that festive period where it's Christmas and everyone's probably got some time off work and just having a few drinks. As not everyone, look, we're us as fans in this community, and Tottenham fans on Twitter, whatever, we're not the majority of Tottenham fans. We live and breathe the club. This is our life. For some people, they just like to go to the game and have a drink. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, you should do it. Yes, we're personally depressed and not happy with the situation. This is our lives, right? We live and breathe the club. But some fans just want to go to the game, watch some football, and have a drink, and they shouldn't be criticised.
And that's what's wrong with this football club. They're the problem.
Come on. But, you know, and I get what you're saying. Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with some people. This isn't their whole life. Their happiness isn't determined by whether we win or lose. They enjoy the game. They
bloody well should
football.
be.
That's us. I'm not going to dictate everyone should be like us. We're crazy. We're obsessed. That's different. Like, and I love being obsessed with football. Don't get me wrong. I live and breathe the club. But I'm not going to criticise people who just want to go and watch the game. That's their prerogative. There's no problem with that.
Tottenham, that Tottenham feed says true. Spurs fans beating Man City on the 4-0 23rd of November, 29th of December. Pretty much reality.
Put me in the Squid Game, I think. At this point, get me in it.
Jay says Bentancur probably celebrating right now, thinking Son scored.
For God's sake, move on.
David actually sent that one to us.
Oh God.
THFC Tyree says unpopular opinion, Sonny is tired and shouldn't have started for the 7th Spurs game in a row. And I said that before the game.
Yeah, but also Timo Werner.
Yeah. But also, you say also Timo Werner, but I think there's more value in starting Timo and giving Sonny a rest so Sonny can come back fresher for the next game.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but also Timo Werner.
Football Confidential saying, by the way, Rodrigo Bentancur, fresh back from following an 8-game ban, lunges in on 96th minute, collects a needless 5th yellow card and now misses yet another game against Newcastle. Brainless, absolutely brainless. This is Spurs all over, brainless.
Yeah, all 7-game ban, but yeah, just a little minor correction.
Mari says, stay strong, Sonny.
Look, I'm sure he'll come back from it, but clearly, you know, it was just not a good game from yesterday, and he's not been in good form, and I think he knows it. Clearly, some of his actions on the pitch tells me it's affecting him. Some of his decision-making, trying to make up for situations by going for shots where they're just not shot on rather than passing to players in better situations. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. That's cause of the kind of performances he's had over the last few games.
Spurs Express saying Son Heung-min on the penalty miss. He says, I'm sorry in an interview with Neva.
I forgive you, Sonny, don't worry.
Yeah. And in the same interview, in the next quote, says, the most important thing is that the team members recover well. There are some parts of injuries that need to be managed well. I told you before this season. But there are so many games that there are cases where injuries are inevitable. I think we should pay attention to these parts. I'm thinking once again that the club should pay more attention to this.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they should. As I said, it can't be a coincidence what's with the amount of hamstring injuries. And I mean, look, as I said, there are some injuries that you can't do anything about, like Vicario and stuff, and maybe even the Romero one. You know, can't really do much about those. But the amount of hamstring injuries we're getting, the fact there's about 6, and also the most important one is the recurring injuries. Mm-hmm. That's the big problem. I think each player, right, that's injured has had a recurring injury. Doggy, he's been injured. Odebear came back.
Doggy, Odebear, Van de Ven.
Richarlison, Van de Ven.
Davis
hasn't had a recurring one.
Yeah, he has.
Did he?
Yeah.
He came back and had a hamstring.
Yeah, and he's got another hamstring. He just got it in training.
Right, he got it in training. Yeah, Davis. So that's something that clearly they need to have a massive review about why that is happening and how to fix that, because that can't continue. It's really derailing us.
Mm-hmm. Next one again is the 3 Koreans behind the scenes. We'll move on to PDC tweeting out saying from football to the darts, and this sent Spurs social media into just overdrive yesterday.
Yeah, people who don't like seeing players smiling after a bad result, but look, these guys got to switch off somehow, and I don't blame them. I think it's, in my opinion, I think they at this point we got a little bit of a break right now, a bit of time to refresh, and I think I don't blame them for doing it, for going.
So they're cooling down by putting themselves in a place where they're just constantly singing Tottenham get battered everywhere they go.
But there's also Levy out things. There's Levy out
posters. Yeah. Do you reckon they had their Levy out posters yesterday?
Yeah, maybe you wrote one.
Georgia Keelia says, we did change tactics today, by the way. Far more defensive than usual with Porro and Udogie barely going forward. Basuma and Bentancur relatively deep, and it still wasn't working.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it wasn't working, but obviously we lost. We created.
It wasn't exactly a great
chances.
performance.
No, it wasn't a great performance, but it was. I think it was enough to win the game. He is right. The fullbacks were definitely a bit deeper. It seems they weren't as high as they usually are, as it shows. Looks like Bentancur and Basuma double pivot as well. But we still conceded right at the end. And was it because we weren't too defensive? We conceded the end. It's up to you to decide. I don't know if that's true or not.
Adita Singh says, you can blame him all you want, but Ange's playing style is the only reason why we're always in a position to win these games despite all the injuries and fatigue. We create big chances in almost every game, but he can't put the ball in the back of the net, can he?
No, he can't. It's true.
We're always in a position to win these games, but, I mean, we've barely won a game.
Doesn't mean we're not in position to.
Great. Sean at THFC saying, if you're watching the game and Ange is in your top 10 reasons as to why we haven't won, then wake up. Fatigue, player quality, lack of options off the bench, poor finishing and poor decision making, along with the revitalised Wolves side. Changing manager achieves nada.
I mean, I agree, but...
Yeah, look, I mean, we've been through it millions of times. I just don't think Ange has done a good job at the club.
That's fair enough. I mean, I can't see he's done a good job, but I think there are reasons for it.
Tetrunk says Kulusevski's performance thus far today is a prime of example why he's absolutely has to be prioritised over Maddison. Just does not stop running and fighting for every ball. Warrior, never hides. Get him on a long contract and build the team around him. Talismanic.
I mean, he's so good, isn't he, Decky? Even in right now, you know, he's clear. Even I think yesterday I thought he was even struggling with kind of to be at his top physical level. Yet he was still pulling things out of the hat. It's just brilliant.
BLTHFC says results are inexcusable, and he's probably not going to last past January. But today has shown so many people. Use these words like in-game management with zero clue. Thought it was all right today, but someone was angry he didn't take Bentancur off. He had a yellow card in the 90+ fifth minute.
I don't know about the latter part, but yeah, I think a lot of people just hang on to narratives, which I think a lot of the time are rubbish. Like, and they hear the media say and stuff like that and think that it's true, but
it's not Ange's fault that Bentancur got that yellow card. Bentancur shouldn't have come off. He was one of the freshest players on the team. It's Bentancur's an idiot for getting that booking.
Correct.
That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
THFC RT says, please tell me which manager in world football will do better with a
left-hand side
of Reguilon and Werner, Fraser Forster in goal, back two of Dragoshin and Archie Gray, who is great when he's an 18-year-old centre mid. Andoni.
I mean, I don't know if there's any guarantee of that.
No, there's no guarantee of anything, is there?
No.
Super Spurs says, finished the game with an 18-year-old centre mid at centre back, a left back who we've tried to sell for years, a Werner at left wing, a keeper from the Stone Age, a bench of children, sacked the manager. I'm not even bothered now. The next manager will also have what is listed above. Levy is poison to football. And yeah, I've always said Levy is obviously the biggest problem at this football club. But everyone's using Timo Werner as a stick to beat Ange with. Well, Ange brought him in.
I agree with that.
Twice.
I agree with that. I absolutely. And that was clearly the wrong decision. I think he knows it was the wrong decision at this point. I think he's aware of it. But
he should have known it was the wrong decision at the end of last season.
100%. I agree with that. I think that Ange has to take responsibility for Timo Werner. Doesn't mean that... just like, if we didn't have a better winger than Timo, it could be different. But look, Ange decided to bring him in. I think. Look, he was one of our first signings. I think Ange clearly told the club he was happy to bring him in my opinion, and I think he has to take responsibility for that.
XG philosophy: Spurs 1.58, Wolves 0.54. I mean, the two goals that they scored must have been really low XG.
Yeah, very good strikes from places where they probably shouldn't be scoring from. So that's unfortunate. Obviously, one of the big things is the penalty we got as well. But Yeah, I mean, look, I think we should have won the game. Unfortunately, we didn't, but we should have.
Spurs Connect saying, sack the whole medical department tonight. This is beyond embarrassing now. It's an injury every game. No excuses from this board if we're seriously about backing Ange. We desperately need to spend big on depth in January.
Yeah, we know that we're not going to spend big in depth in January. We might get one. I'd be surprised if we get more than one in Jan, to be honest, knowing this club. But
To be honest, we say that every Jan.
What? Yeah, true. So, I don't know. I mean, let's just hope that we can pull something out of some rabbits out the hat.
Lily White Rose saying, George Abbott has scored his second goal in a week. George Abbott, big
Look
up.
at this goal. Look at this goal.
Wow.
George.
Wow.
Georgie.
I actually never saw that. That
Yeah.
was brilliant. What a hit that was. Jay says, how loud they turned the music on when the boos started coming. I mean, literally, that music at the end of games just deafens you, doesn't it?
What's that song they always play? They always play the same one.
This time was different, though, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
I can't remember. But yeah, they always do. They want to drown out the boos, don't they?
BATHFC says, the players physically can't give any more. Thursday, Sunday every week since October with 0 good depth options and give them a rest. It's not their fault we're in this position.
I don't think it's the players' fault totally, no. No, I don't think it's the players' fault.
Mitch Fretton says, players wanted Ange to change how we play, so we sat back after going 2-1 up and surprise, surprise, it didn't work. So it doesn't work when we go forward, doesn't work when we go back, doesn't work when we do anything.
I mean, sometimes it works.
Not for a while.
No, but there's reasons for that.
Daily Hotspur saying, these are our next 5 matches. Newcastle at home, Liverpool at home in the semi-final, Tamworth away, Arsenal away, and Everton away. Well, I'm sure we'll beat Tamworth.
That's up for debate at the moment.
Yeah, look, these other 4 games, I mean, I don't know. How many points can you see in those 4 games? Well, one of them you don't get points for, but how many wins?
2 of them you don't get points for, but yeah.
No, I was talking about the Arsenal, Everton, Liverpool, Newcastle.
Well, Liverpool's not our league game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, my point is, yeah, we might not win any of them. There's a chance that might happen, but I don't think a new manager comes in and wins any of them either.
You never know.
I just don't think so. I just don't see how.
Well, hopefully by the Arsenal game we should have a player or 2 back. You would think.
Maybe we can do something in the Emirates. Who knows? Probably not.
Johnny Blaine says, time to go. 5 home league matches without a win. Worst run since 2008. Keep them coming, Ange.
Yeah, I get it. It's not good. I'm not going to sit here and say it's great. And there's 100. I'm not saying there's no reason to sack him. I can see the reasons to. I'm just saying it would be a mistake. But I can understand the reasons people want him to be sacked. Of course, we're not in good form. It's been dreadful. 1.26 points per game. All this kind of stuff. There's all these reasons you could have won him sacked. I don't blame you for it. But I just personally think there are reasons for it. There's context, and I think it would have been a mistake to do it. But I can't sit here and say I don't see why anyone would want to sack him, because of course I do. But I just think it would be a mistake.
And last but not least, StatMuse FC saying Tottenham are the first team in Premier League history to fall 1-0 behind in 15 home games in a single calendar year.
Quite the record.
Yeah, we're full of these records.
Yeah, but we turned a lot of those around.
Yeah, just not the last 5.
Not the last 5.
I think that is that.
Chat?
That is that. What is this super chat?
Where is it?
Well, first of all, there's
2.
Mr. Box Office.
Here we go.
Mr. Box Office says, Sim, answer your texts. Big up Sim and Ben,
haven't
Ange
texted
out.
me. I'm looking at them right now. It literally hasn't texted me.
Oh, Mr. Box Office, what are you on, mate?
What are you chatting about? Answer your text. I haven't seen one text from you.
Answer your text, Sim.
Oh no, there was one yesterday.
What does it say?
Yesterday. Good video, Sim. Oh, this was me reacting to comments. Give me footballing reasons why you believe in Ange. I do not agree, but I appreciate the take. Ben was good as well, debating your points.
Thank you, Alex.
Footballing reasons why I back Ange. Footballing reasons, I think I like the high intensity front-footed, attacking style of football. I think when we're on our game and when we're playing well, we can blow teams away. I think when we're suffocating teams, actually, we don't concede as many chances as we were, at the beginning of the season. We're actually keeping chances against us to a premium. And yes, we still, conceded some goals and we didn't pick up results we should have. But I think in general, the style of play was going in the right direction. I think Ange can coach a good amount of wins out of this team. When we're able to rotate and when we have defenders in the back line, I think we can win football games. We can play good football. At the moment, we're struggling at the back with defences. We're conceding way too many goals. We're struggling to rotate players because of injuries in certain positions. In the midfield and sorry, especially in the forward line, we're struggling to rotate in that position because of, first of all, lack of quality depth, but most of all, lack of depth. Richarlison, Odoi being injured is meaning less chances to rotate. A lot of players are playing probably more minutes than they should have. Decky as well, probably playing out of position more often than we would like that as well. So for me, I think I like the way we play football when we're playing well, and I think I want him to get back, try and get that more consistently, and try and get back to that stage where we're playing well. At the moment, we look very far away from that because of the situation we're in, and it's hard to see it turning in the near future. I don't think a new manager comes in and gets his team winning games consistently with the problems that we have. I think any new manager, essentially, my point is, I think any new manager is going to have to wait for this injury crisis to die down and start picking up results. And if that's the case, I think you might as well stick with Ange.
Mr. Box Office has just messaged me now.
Oh, God. Answer your text, Ben.
He's given me the transcripts of your messages. He says, this is the message I sent him. I must have got the wrong number.
No, I've seen it now. Yeah, he did text me yesterday morning.
Answer your texts, him, man. Answer your texts.
All right. That's what I'm saying. That's my footballing reasons.
Last super chat is from the Jorical once again. He says, minimum bar for a manager has to be if he is improving the players. I only see regression. Ben, we need to do an intervention for Sim. Big up, boys. I'm open to the intervention.
Do you see regression in Decky?
Well, that's the only one.
Not the only one.
It is the only one. He's the only one that's improved from last season. Oh, you're clutching at straws now. Like, literally.
Sarr
was brilliant. Sarr was brilliant last season as well. He had a bit of a drop off towards the end, so it clouds the vision. But I don't think. Brennan from a gameplay state, he hasn't got that.
When things are going badly, obviously people go, "Oh, he's not improved. When things are going well, there are players who have improved.
Yeah, but take before the injury crisis, right? Before the injury crisis, Porro's had a drop off from last season. Udogie had a drop off from last season. Van de Ven and Romero both had a drop off from last season. None of the players.
Van de Ven did, apart from that one bad game against Brighton. I wouldn't say he had drop off.
I don't think he's improved.
He's been
maybe not a drop off. I don't think he's improved from last season.
Very good.
Who else? Son hasn't improved from last season. He's had a drop off this year. You've had many players that have had drops off.
I would say probably Madison, Decky, Bentancur's been better this season. Basuma. I know he's not playing well at the moment, and everyone's saying, but I don't get this narrative. Basuma's been bad all season. That's just not true. I think actually before he was being overplayed through Bentancur's injury, he was actually having a pretty good season, I would say, and played very well in the cup quarter-final as well. But yeah, lately he's not been good. I grant you that. But I think overall he's not been bad. Obviously, Solanke's a new player, but he's been very good. But I think Brennan's improved. I don't see this massive everyone's regressing. Yeah, some players are maybe being overplayed, which is leading them to regressing. I don't deny
I think
that.
the only one that's had a real improvement is Decky.
I don't know. I think other players have improved as well. Look,
maybe
again,
Johnson as well.
We're saying this on a bad run of form. I think if we go on a good run of form, people think differently. But anyway, that's my opinion.
We've got a super chat here from Ben saying, I sent a super chat ages ago, but no probs though. Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, sorry, it was this one. Ben Thorne. Chelsea sacked the physio, head of medical chief in 2022. They had the worst injury crisis in Europe, and now look, should we do the same?
We should do the same.
And definitely do it. Bring hijack the Chelsea medical department.
The reality is, Jose and Mourinho both spoke about Jose and Conte both spoke about the medical department, how poor they are.
But I think there has been changes since then. I don't know if that's true. I think there have been. So I read that somewhere. There have been some changes. But look, there's clearly a problem with the medical department.
Yeah,
there is 100%.
Right.
Whether Ange's caused the injuries or not, there's clearly a problem with how we're dealing with these injuries. 100%.
Yeah.
And if it means the medical department should put their foot down more or not, or something needs to change in that aspect.
Yeah, totally true. All right, and the final segment of the live stream for you guys, we're gonna go through a Tottenham update.
Can I just look quickly? Just 2 back-to-back comments. Someone says, "Sim, you need to get your brain checked as soon as possible." And then the very next comment, "Ben is delusional."
But this is what I was saying about our comment section, right? We've been having these debates for so long, and like, literally one comment section will be just laying into you how you're a Levy apologist and you're up Ange's backside and all this kind of stuff, and then the next video with the same contents in it will just be all going at me, saying like I'm delusional and all that.
KPV's calling you out now.
Ben,
KPV.
Look,
once you've lost KPV, it's
I'm
gone.
not the one that had Sol Campbell in my ultimate team.
Once you've lost KPV, you're done out here. Once you've lost KPV. Just quick one on the poll. An hour gone now. 929 votes, 55% Ange in and 45 Ange out. So it looks like that's going to stabilise around there at this point.
Yeah. So it is literally going down by 5% every time we do it.
Yeah, but it's not going to grow with each poor result, is it? It's obviously going to go down. But maybe it's still Ange in at the moment.
Apparently I'm one of the most hated men in Australia right now.
No flights to Melbourne booked?
No. What's this one? Sim, you're a nice guy, but totally out of your skull if you back Ange in. Who cares who comes in and how bad they are? There'll be an improvement on Ange.
Yeah, that's just a stupid comment. Who cares? So let's get David Moyes in.
David Moyes.
Yeah, bring him in. Let's do it. Bring in anyone apparently. Get Mason in. Just give him the job. Give him
there you go. Cooler sexy. Love you from a fellow Aussie. Love you too, mate. Love you too, mate. I've always loved Aussies. All right, let's get into the Tottenham update. We're going to go into the last 24 hours of Tottenham news regarding transfers, because it is the 30th of December, which means the January transfer window is just around the corner. And Alistair Gold has given us an insight into what Spurs are looking for this January. And he says Tottenham are looking at potential recruits across a number of positions, which includes centre-back, left-back and midfielder, which is interesting because Fabrizio Romano said last week that he's sure that Spurs are going to bring someone in the forward line, but he doesn't mention that.
He doesn't mention the forward line.
No.
That's not good.
He says centre-back, left-back and midfielder.
Well, we should get someone in the forward line.
We do. We've got Yang Min-hyuk, mate.
Yeah, so centre-back, left-back. Yeah, definitely centre-back and left-back or a hybrid player would be brilliant. Definitely need one of those. And midfielder. I mean, midfielder's one of the players. Well, I'm not saying we don't need one. I'm just saying it's one of the places in the squad right now where we probably have a bit more depth than anywhere else. So I don't. Why would adding midfield in January make sense?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see though. Like, if we do bring in a midfielder, what kind of midfielder do you reckon they're looking to bring in? Do you reckon it's an attacking midfielder or defensive?
No, not attacking, because we've got Decky and Madison.
A six.
I don't see it being attacking one.
A 6.
Yeah.
A 6 what and
Cardozo,
move.
Maybe. Get Cardozo.
Well, there were those reports, weren't there, last week or 2 weeks ago, saying that we could be looking to bring him in January.
Wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it at all. Let's get into some specifics. And Jack Gorn of the Daily Mail, a Man City correspondent, says Tottenham and Newcastle are believed to be monitoring Jack Grealish's situation ahead of the January transfer window. And even with Man City's injury problems, he still can't seem to get many minutes, can he?
He started the last few games.
Yeah.
But to no avail. I would, for me, I'm not saying like he's in great form or anything, or he's the answer. I know he's not been great. He's gone a whole calendar year without scoring a Premier League goal. I do feel like he's the kind of player, maybe a new environment would help him. I would look, if we could get him on a 6-month loan, I mean, beggars can't be choosers. I would take Jack Grealish in a heartbeat. Can also play in the 10, can play on the left. I think he would also, he's the kind of profile we're very much missing on the wide areas, for sure. And I mean, I'll take it for sure. I think Grealish, especially, I think he would be given a bit more freedom, like to try things under Ange and maybe under Pep at the moment. So I would very much like Jack Grealish. I don't think we're signing him permanently, but if he really fallen out of favour at City and he's willing to go out on loan for 6 months, I'll take him.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a player of top quality. It hasn't gone right for him at Man City. But I feel like for Jack Grealish to come to Spurs, I feel like it could unleash a bit of his Aston Villa side back again. You know, a bit of it's not the same environment, but a bit of a similar environment.
Yeah, I get him taking people on again. And so, yeah, get him committing players, which is what Ange wants.
He needs to feel that love again, which I don't think he feels at Man City.
Yeah. Obviously, a permanent deal would be very difficult in general, just because he's probably on massive wages. And
I feel like he's a Tottenham player, though, Jack Grealish.
yeah, for sure. I think him and Madders would be on the piss a lot.
I don't know if I like that.
But yeah, I mean, bring Grealish in if we can. Why not?
Next up, Fijajes are reporting that Tottenham have tabled a £37 million bid to sign Facundo Buonanotte from Brighton as they consider him as Son Heung-min's replacement.
No, they don't. I can guarantee.
I think
that.
he's brilliant, though.
I'm not saying he's bad. First of all, he's a
Very
right
young
winger.
as well.
If he plays
He's
on the
right
wing, he's
wing,
on the
yeah.
right. He's generally more of a number 10, though. I find that's his best position. So I think in general, the premise of that article or that report is that he's a replacement for Son. He just isn't. I mean, I like him. I mean, I would be interested in bringing him to Spurs, but I mean, I like him. I guess competition for Brendan, why not? Yeah, I'll take him. But I don't know what Fajajes are just terrible. Every report I read.
Yeah,
is
it's
nonsense.
true. But you know what? With Buonanotte, right? I feel like he was Leicester's best player under what's his name, Cooper. I felt like he was their best player under Cooper. He was the only one that looked like that had any creativity about him. Since Ruud van Nistelrooy's come in, he's been on the bench every game. So maybe Brighton do look at that and be like, look, if there's no kind of serious minutes for him, why is he going to be there? What's the point?
We're not going to make a decision after 3 games, are they?
Well, it depends. Like they could like speak to Ruud and maybe he's not in the plans.
Maybe. I mean, I'll be very surprised. But yeah, maybe.
Mickey van der Ven Relevo says Mickey van der Ven is a January target for Real Madrid following a series of injuries to their defensive players. I mean, if they didn't know, Van der Ven has also had his injury problems this season. But then a Relevo journalist called Jord Picon says Real Madrid do appreciate Mickey van der Ven's profile. However, they have no plans to move for a player because they don't want to spend that amount that it would take to get him out of Spurs, because Spurs won't even entertain a sell. I mean, how much do you reckon Spurs even? How much do you reckon it takes for Van der Ven for Spurs to like even consider a Van der Ven
Signed him
exit?
at 45, didn't he? Or 40,
Yeah, so it's got to be double that minimum.
Yeah, I don't think Madrid also, given what injuries he's had over the past couple of years, I don't think they're going to commit serious funds to it unless he can prove he can stay a sustained period of time without getting an injury. So I think there's no chance. I think in a weird way his injuries probably will keep people from being interested for the time being. As much as everyone probably appreciates what a good player he is, they're not going to commit near 100 million to a player that might keep getting injured.
Yeah, look, there's nothing in that. Mickey ain't leaving anywhere anytime soon, that's for sure. And last but not least, Josh Keeley on loan at Leyton Orient from Tottenham has broken an Orient record by recording 7 clean sheets, 7 in a row clean sheets.
Wow, incredible. And he scored a goal as well. So what can't he do, Josh Keeley? But yeah, it sounds like he's having a great loan spell. Really happy for him. Considering as well, when he first went there, he wasn't playing every game. He's had to battle his way into the team. And he went to Barnet on loan, and it was a good loan, but it wasn't exactly like he blew everyone away. But he was good. Like I saw him, people were quite happy with him. But also, I went to a Barnet game last season, and there was a Barnet fan next to me, and I was chatting to him. He said, I'll be absolutely gobsmacked if he ever plays for Spurs. Like he didn't really rate him that highly. But clearly, he's doing a great job at Orient. He's playing every game, 7 clean sheets in a row, and as well, Donnelly scored on the weekend. And he's also having a great loan spell all of a sudden. He's changed it.
I got some texts.
Here we go.
I've got some text to read you out on Jamie Donnelly and Josh Keeley from Leyton Orient buddy, who
our resident Leyton Orient reporter.
Yeah, literally goes week in, week out. On Thursday, he messaged me saying, this is like literally just out of nowhere. He goes, Jamie Donnelly, wow, you have to see his pass for the goal. Fucking ridiculous. Almost scored a worldie too. And he sent me some voice notes as well. I mean, I can
play him. Anyone want to hear some voice notes about Donnelly and Keeley?
3-0 win. He was top notch. I've got to show you this goal. this pre-assist or whatever you call it for this goal, unreal. He's got to work on finishing though. He could have had about a hat-trick. He had a one-on-one save. He had a free kick from 30 yards, hit the bar. But he was just so good today. Really good player. He's finally in form. Hope he keeps it that way because he didn't do it for the last 15 games. Keeley as well made some huge saves at the start. Really like him. Up the Spurs.
Come on.
And then yesterday he messaged me Donnelly goal with the eyes emoji. And he said, Keeley will actually help you a lot right now. 9 clean sheets in 12 games. We haven't conceded since he scored, and that's the whole of December. With Donnelly not even sure what his actual position is, gets into so many good positions, and padding is top, but finishing isn't great. Misses a big chance. Passing, yeah, is top, but finishing isn't great. He does miss a big chance every game, but he says, yeah, I do love Donnelly now, but not as much as Keeley.
Wow. Keeley sounds like he's got a big future.
Yeah, they're loving him down there at Leyton Orient. And
I'm loving Big Josh instead.
Would you have him in instead of Fraser Forster right now?
Gonna have to change the song if Ange goes to I'm loving Big Josh.
I'm loving Keeley instead. But yeah, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all those news stories. And yeah, that is it, I guess, from us today. We'll be back tomorrow with a big live stream at midday where we've got big expressions coming on the stream. So tune in for that. Like I said, we'll be going at midday. We'll be talking all things around the squad. And I'm sure we'll be getting into the Ange Postecoglou debate once again.
Just ending on the poll, I guess. Over 1,000 votes now. And I guess I'll end it here. But 55%, yeah, as you say, Ange in, 45 Ange out. That's the ending of the poll. So big up to everyone who voted. 1,000 votes. And 55% still want Ange in.
All right. Big up, guys. We'll see you all tomorrow. Like, subscribe, and comment. As always, come on, you Spurs.